successful week for me. I had a good time. I blame you for my obsession with the stock market.
Thank you.
Completely all your fault. I'm like watching stock videos on YouTube while I'm researching them on the phone with Weeble open, adding them to the watch list. I'm totally just I'm all I'm all in right now. But I think it's a good thing though. It's an absolute good thing. This is something that I would have never given this much thought to. Just I mean, even 2 years ago, I would have never given it this much thought. But now I'm like really seeing. And what's good is I'm seeing the potential, even with starting small like I did. Like I didn't have fucking 5 grand to throw at the stock market. I started very small, conservative little things here and there. But seeing those little green plus signs, it kind of feels good.
Yeah.
Even down at that low level, them greens be feeling good. I'm happy. I love it, bro. I'm having a good time right now.
Yeah, man. It definitely I'm a little obsessive about it, but I really wish I would have started like 20 years ago. I feel like if I would have started 20 years ago, I'd already be set and have the freedom to do all the things that I want to do now. But oh well.
Right.
If one of these girls come back and they're pregnant, then I can just teach my seed, hey, this is what you need to be paying attention to early on.
One of these girls come back and they're pregnant.
Well, you never know. Something could turn up. Something could
Right.
turn up. I mean, there's nothing in the immediate history that is startling me at the moment. But you know
Right.
you never know.
Oh
There could
yeah.
be that Maury Povich invite,
Man, somebody just come knock on your door with a 4-year-old.
right? And he got a little hook nose and big ears, and
Oh wow.
I'm like,
Disavow.
well, it's probably mine.
But at least he'll have a 750 credit score as a 4-year-old.
He's like, oh look, he's already got that little bald spot right in the back. Look at that. That's cute.
Oh man. Well, I
Disavow.
wanted to ask you earlier earlier this week we were talking about some stock biz, and I meant to ask you like what has been so far, not what particular stock, but like what has been your biggest play return so far?
Um, biotechs.
Mm,
Those biotech penny stocks have gotten me the biggest gains, but a lot of them turn to shit and never go anywhere.
right.
And it's really hard to predict where they're gonna go or if it's just gonna tank. Um, and also with penny stocks, I found that they're a lot harder to sell. Um, like if I get a jump in Tesla, the moment I go to sell Tesla, all my shares are gone. It's sold in an instant.
Right.
When it's those penny stocks and I'm like, okay, let me sell 5,000 shares of this shit. It's like waiting. And I'm like, well, fuck, by the time my order goes through, I'm going to lose some of the gain that I'm requesting. And you can only do limit pricing. So if it drops below that limit and they don't sell off, it might not get back there for you to sell it.
Right.
So you lose out on it. Um,
Mm,
so I had one. It was General Cannabis. It went from about 75 cents to $9.40.
wow.
So that was huge. And there was one Greenwich Life Sciences, I think, the one that just happened. It closed at $5 and opened or ended the next day at like 160 or something ridiculous.
That's unbelievable, dude. I mean, I love that this kind of shit happens because this is really at the place that it is now. It's accessible to almost anybody.
It is.
Anybody with a phone and a bank account can get on, one of these apps and take advantage of those same type of gains.
And legal money. Just
Right, right.
to help out the D boys out there. You don't want to take a whole bunch of cash and shove it in a trading account and then make a lot of money off of it. They will try to find out where that money came from.
Oh yeah. Like, excuse me, sir, but we're gonna need your employment history for the last 18 years.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like, you know
they'll
what? You
rock
know
you.
I'm gonna do. You know I'm gonna do with this 50 grand that's just sitting in the closet. I'm just gonna put it all in the market. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's not a good
You got
idea at all. At all.
somebody needs to die. You need to be written into an inheritance. Something needs to happen first. I'm sure you can figure it out.
Yeah, we need to figure out smart ways to launder money into the system instead of out of it. Because I think that's really the struggle right now. Is for a long time people have been trying to clean, illegal money from that they're extracting from these things. We need to figure out how to clean money to get it into the system.
That would be smart.
You can probably write a book about that, to be honest.
I'm pretty sure that's how Jay-Z got his record label.
Right,
If the mythology is true.
right, yeah, just a bunch of drug flipping. Which is, I guess is valid if you can make it successful on the other end. It's hard to argue with a guy who's a billionaire and he says, I started with crack.
Right.
There's not a whole lot you can say. There's really not a whole lot you can say.
Which it had me thinking too, man. I thought of an app called Crimmy, since we're talking about drug dealing.
Okay.
So think about an app that helps you evaluate the morality of your local drug dealers. So that if anything happens, you know whether you should care to show up at a protest.
Oh my gosh.
You don't want a cop from somebody that like sold crack to their, best friend's mom or some shit like that, or shot up a funeral or a school trying to get at their rivals instead of negotiating peacefully, some sort of arrangement. So it's like a morale to help curb white supremacy, so that the people that are the most violent and just the worst actors fucking everything up for anybody, you can choose to starve those sources. No, I will not cop from you. I read your Crimmy review.
Wow.
It accesses thousands of police databases and anonymous tips from around the globe. All that metadata goes in and it gets you it's kind of like Angie's List, but for drug dealers.
Yelp.
Yeah.
This is Yelp for drug dealers.
Yeah, Crimmy.
I think I like it. And I think we should to be safe before we upload this episode, we need to at least buy the .com.
Okay.
You got to buy Crimmy.com and have a splash page that basically explains what it's about. And then, I think that'll at least keep us a little bit safe.
Because we're descending into lawlessness.
Right.
So it's not even going to be anything like dry snitching by having the app. No one's going to care anymore. No one's going to obey any of the laws. I did want to say something because I had a little bit of stolen legacy juice guilt to get out of the way real quick. Because I thought about on the last episode where after we spoke to Eugene, and I was like, oh yeah, he was clearly autistic. In hindsight, that kind of felt like it was coming across in a disparaging way. And I totally didn't mean it that way. I just meant I could tell by kind of the complex ideas that he was dealing with and the way he was very careful in the way he was communicating. And it had to be very precise. People with high IQs and kind of engage in those kinds of ideas in that way come across as autistic. So I kind of got that sense before he said it. And then I could have evaluated people that way and been wrong in the past. I just didn't want it to leave it there as anything that was disparaging, because that's totally not how I meant it.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. I got you. But you are completely absolved, because I feel like, in my opinion, we went above and beyond to accommodate somebody who a few short years ago, I would have just been like, fuck you, you're crazy. And I wouldn't have had nothing else to say to a person like that. And like a person with those views, and the fact that we spoke to this guy for 3 hours, I think absolves you of anything that was said during that conversation, because you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who would entertain those types of conversations for that long when you fundamentally disagree. So many conversations devolve into ad hom attacks and you can get more views, but because he didn't identify as cis, you can get more views by calling him gay and hanging up on him and then talking shit about him for the next 20 minutes.
Probably.
That's just what YouTube, the algorithm loves that kind of shit. So I think the way we handled it was beautiful.
I do too. I don't think there was anything that was meanness. It wasn't placating, like, oh yeah, sure, kind of just we'll agree to whatever you say, because we challenged them on the things that we thought were a little absurd or we didn't necessarily agree with. And he wasn't using ad hominems either, So I think it was a win. Also, because I know when me and you are talking to each other, it's very easy to get those assessments of us as being racist, or him saying we were transphobic, and because of the things that we delve into and the way that we talk about them. And I personally think that the power and the good in that is it takes away a lot of the mystique and the gravity from those things. And by trivializing some of the absurdity, I think it brings levity. It makes people lighten up, and it shows that, hey, you don't necessarily have to be so invested in these concepts to where, everybody's got to tiptoe around everybody. And so I think if those accusations get hurled at us, right, there's one instance where you saw us dealing with somebody who was of a different perspective, who was of like a protected class, and there was nothing mean or cruel. So that it kind of illustrates the point that I was trying to make to him before. It's like there's a difference between joking in the abstract and actually being mean to a person, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. And I don't think either one of us were really trying to, like, I don't
Because
think
I'm
we were
still gonna make
trying.
stolen legacy juice jokes.
Of
It's just
course.
not gonna stop.
And I'm still going to talk about the fucking idiocracy of American black culture. That's just part of what you got to call out the bullshit where you see it. But I'm saying that I don't think either one of us was purposely trying to tiptoe around anything or like handling people with kid gloves, so to speak.
Not at all.
It came really natural to really try to listen. That was like a natural when he was talking about trigger words and shit. Like I felt more, I guess, offended. Not offended, but I guess that's a decent word. Like when you're listening to somebody talk about trigger words, and maybe it's on some channel on YouTube, and they're explaining how people are using these words as violence kind of things. I've been more outraged at that concept than I actually was when I was
In
confronted with it
practice.
in real life.
Right.
Because, and I think a lot of that people can learn from. They look at shit and they hear people talk about it, and you're like, what the fuck? And blah, blah, blah. But when he brought that up and was just like, oh, don't use certain words, blah, 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 I didn't feel any type of way about that at all. It was like, yeah, dude, whatever makes the conversation go smoothly, I'm down for that. And then you have another person who say, yeah, but you can't call him a dude either because, so I can see where it
And I
devolves.
think I did do that.
Of
I
course.
think
Yeah, it's
and it
gendered
was
language, right?
and right, and it was totally natural. I didn't do it on purpose, and I caught myself, and I think I tried to correct it. I don't remember, but I think I immediately switched to a us or a they or something. So
Right.
but again, it's a world of difference between the threat of having to do it and just talking to someone and being like, "Yo, yeah, I'm willing to engage you in a way that's polite."
Right.
You
Right.
know, that's polite on your terms. That's no problem at all.
Yeah. And for the record, I call my wife dude.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just, I get why some people would think it's gendered language, but I mean, it's just a word that people can use to apply. I call my wife bro sometimes.
Bro, man. Come on, man.
Come
Yeah.
on, son.
Right.
We talking. It's just that's just how we talk, and it's hilarious. I don't think she's ever been offended. Like, oh, you calling me dude, and I'm clearly a cis woman. It's like, no, people don't think like that. The average person doesn't really think like that. I think you got to go out of your way to carry that in your life and practice because it seems so unnatural. If you I've seen this brought up before. If you're in a mixed room and somebody comes in and they say, "All right, guys," like I don't see a real world where the women in that room get angry because you refer to the group as guys. That seems crazy to me. And maybe it's just because I'm a guy, right? Because so from my perspective, it's fine. But I don't know any term that has been historically aligned for women that you can now use in a co-ed situation. So like men were dudes and then everybody's dude. So I don't know what term that would have been for women only that elevated or changed, evolved into that place where you could use it for everybody. So I don't know how I'd feel about that because I don't know what that word is.
The only thing for me on an individual level, it's fine. When you try to make it an issue and civilize the world with this pressing matter that everybody needs to address, that's when I just got to tune you out. I think it was a couple years back where Blossom was saying that we shouldn't call women girls. Like, look at that girl over there. Like,
Mm,
that's super duper insulting.
okay.
Like,
Uh,
no, not really.
um, yeah, I guess it could be considered infantilizing, But
And I don't know if it actually, I don't remember if it was because I'm never on the internet, so I forget sometimes where I hear some of this stuff. So it might have been a while ago, it might have been recent. I really don't know,
I've
but it
heard
was
it
like,
before. I've heard that before too.
yeah,
I've definitely heard people complain about it. Like I said, I can see where it could be considered infantilizing if you actually, if you're talking directly to a person and you call them an adult woman and you call her girl. I could see how that could be condescending a little
well,
bit.
this was two guys at a bar saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go talk to that girl over there."
That's different.
Right, which is crazy because now you're engaging their private conversation and you're trying to impose those rules over them. And not only that, it's also so many other components to language which would let you know whether the person's intent was to be condescending. Like the word sweetheart comes to mind. Like
Mm,
there's ways where you come on, sweetheart, where
right.
you're being super fucking condescending, or it can be sincere, in a loving kind of sweetsy way. But there's the context, there's the inflection. But just to make these rules, like we're composing the new Torah of what offends and what doesn't. And okay, this is one other word that everybody has to acknowledge. And I think that's where our outrage comes from, is when somebody stands up in the public square and says, "All right, guys, I've got an important issue and we all have to start doing this now." Effective immediately, no one can say girl. No one can say retard. No one can say homo. No one can say it ever. Okay? All right. I don't think that's going to be well received,
Mm,
but
yeah.
but in the person to person, would you mind not calling me girl or referring to me as a girl? Like I have a PhD, I worked hard to where I get from, and I just find it very diminutive. Okay,
Right.
sure, no problem, sweetheart. I apologize. I didn't mean to offend you. I apologize. No problem.
I'm
And
sorry, sweetheart.
yeah, and just pat her on the butt. Patriarchy. It's
Oh,
just
terrible.
get
Terrible.
along now. Disavow.
Dude, that happened to my wife at work. A
Somebody
guy,
patted her butt.
yeah, but it wasn't with his hand. I'd have kicked his teeth in. It wasn't with his hand. It was an older guy who was like a driver or something for FedEx or whatever. And he showed up. He was squeezing past a few people to get into the FedEx
Yeah.
building, and he slapped her on the butt with like a stack of papers he had in his hand.
Ooh.
I mean,
Uh,
he was immediately fired. But
yeah.
I just was like, when she told me that it happened, I was like, he must be out of his fucking mind. Like, there's no way that was anything malicious or planned. He's just too stupid to understand that that's not right. Because I don't understand who would do that and
He
live
had
and
to be
just.
in his 70s or something.
Yeah, he was an older. She said he was an older dude, but I mean, who? Why would you even think? I think anybody young who would have done that, then you could maybe add some malicious intent to it or something like that. But for a dude that age, you're just like, oh, poor buddy. He just don't know no better. He just don't know.
It,
I didn't feel like, oh, I'm gonna get my hands around this guy's neck. I was just like, oh, poor guy. He's
it,
fired. He's just ruined his life.
you can't, yeah, I can't even, because we come from a reference point now that is considered totally homophobic and racist. But I can't fathom under any circumstance where I would feel comfortable, especially at work. Like work is the one place where you have to be as asexual as possible to respect the professional environment. Like that, you know what I mean? Like I can't imagine. I couldn't imagine in any circumstance to do that to anybody except my woman. I
Right.
couldn't imagine anything. Or a friend of mine if I'm, being a little gay, like it's funny, I'm gonna slap you on the butt. Like,
Gay
hey, good
joking.
job. Yeah, right, right. Good, which which isn't always well received. But
I can imagine.
it's like, hey, I really appreciate it. Thanks, Daryl. Bam, you did a great job. Just a little slap on the butt.
Like,
Just
yeah,
a little.
dudes tend to do that with sports and shit like that, and it's okay in certain situations. But I feel like in a corporate, environment, there's just never a reason for that shit. And I've had conversations with people
None.
before who feel
Yeah.
like they're entitled to compliment women. And I was like, bruh, I don't understand where you're coming from. When you say I should be able to tell her she looks nice, it's like, do you hear yourself right now? Like I just don't see it. I don't see where that entitlement comes from as a guy. And I'm a heterosexual male. I think women are awesome. They're beautiful, but I would never in life compliment a woman on her physical appearance outside of my own wife, my daughters, or something like that. I would never tell a woman I worked with, or even a woman who I know. If I've known you for 15 years and I've known your wife just as long, there's never a reason to tell her she looks nice. For me, anyway, it's just as a personal rule. Like, there's never a reason, even if she does look nice. I'm not gonna tell her.
Right. I think there's some circumstances where someone gets kind of like all dolled up because they have like a job interview or something like that, you know, where it kind of makes sense. Like I can't front. I've done it before. Like, oh, you got all dressed up today. You look nice. You know what I mean? Not meaning it in a malicious way. And I
Right.
think but it's also one of those things like now that I'm older, I wouldn't do it now because I know it can be misinterpreted. But I've never had an instance where I've complimented a woman at work and she's just been offended. You know what I'm saying? But also, I'm not really an ugly dude. I'm sure if I was hideous, then maybe it would be offensive
That's the
or
forbidden
scary,
conversation right there.
right?
That's the
But
forbidden. We don't want to. Don't start that shit.
but either way, just as a general rule, it's like yeah, you don't have a right to be able like that's a stupid fight to fight. Like I get the logic behind it, you know, but at the end of the day, the person on the receiving end is ultimately the person that gets to tell you how it made them feel or not.
Right.
So,
Right. I personally would never do it. I haven't done it since I was a fucking teenager. And I'm just not down with it. It feels uncomfortable automatically just to compliment a woman on how she looks. Like I'll high five a woman. I'll tell her great job, great idea. You really pulled through. I'm glad you were on the team. Like there's a million things I can say in a million different situations. But just basically just talk about your physical appearance. What
yeah,
I
there's no
learned,
reason.
yeah, there's no reason. What I learned from a woman was if there's something that you like identify something that you like about a woman if you want to compliment her, and compliment the thing, because if you compliment the thing, it makes her feel like she made a good choice instead of
Right.
just being objectified as you look good right now. Just say, yo, those are
Right.
dope shoes. You know,
Right.
then she can process that as, oh, I chose these shoes, so I did a good thing. I made a good choice.
Right.
So I dig that, and I don't even do that too often. But if I feel like I need to, and the only time I feel like I remember the last time I complimented a woman that was a stranger to me was when I went to visit. I think I went to visit my homie in Oklahoma, and there was a waitress, a server, maybe that's what they're called now, and she had on these fucking boots that looked like the ruby red slippers from the Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah.
So they were red, they were glittery, but they were like had a not like a high stiletto heel, but it was like a combat boot heel on it. So they was kind of tough looking, but at the
Right.
same time they had the glitter. They
Right.
just looked dope to me, and I was like, "Yo, those are fly." And then she told me like a 3 minute story about them. I was like,
Where
"Oh
she
yeah,
got them from it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah." She perked
Yeah.
up real high. She's like, "Oh, really? You like them?" So I was like, "Yeah, that works." Because I remember what the lady said. Don't just say you look nice. Talk about the thing, so then it becomes a choice that she
Yeah,
made.
but I'm still waiting on my refill. So could we just
Oh yeah.
could you
Oh, and
just
while
get
you're here,
could you tell me the story when you get back with my
after,
pancakes?
yeah, I need
Yeah.
more sweet tea before I listen to the rest of this story.
Because honestly, that's the piece of shit that I am is that that's why I would want to stay away from those kinds of conversations because I don't want to hear your origin story. I don't care. I
Yeah, and you're
don't
kind of
just
asking for it. Yeah, you're asking
right.
for it.
You've opened up this because there's been those times too where you open that rabbit hole and then you get someone like I've had waitresses just sit down and start talking, like just sit down at the table and just start going on and on and on. I'm
No, we're
like,
not
damn
doing
it,
that.
I have given you the impression that you're interesting and you have run with it. And there's nothing I can do to put that genie back in the bottle without being rude.
Yeah, this is the other side of women being ignored. That's the other side of it. I've experienced this with people who I know, wives. That's been my major experience with this, and I understand why. Because every time I've engaged with a woman like this who was married, I know her husband. The husband
Right.
is always the same kind of guy.
Right.
He's aloof. He doesn't really pay much attention. At least when I'm around him, from like the experiences I've had with him, he doesn't pay much attention to her. I know and these are guys who are out, playing the field, doing their thing, and I just happen to meet their wife. And I've been to like this one guy in particular. He lived out in Riverview, so he take me. We'd be going to shows or something in Tampa, so I'd go rock with him out to Riverview. He'd get ready and then drive all the way back. While
you should change the names of cities and stuff though. You should,
so people don't know where we are.
right,
They start listening to all the episodes.
Right. So you out like in Apollo Beach or Ruskin or something. Right. Somewhere.
Yeah, I think they live. Was it? That's hilarious. So
yeah, I give whenever I'm engaged in a story like that, I give nothing. You got to make it as vague as possible, just in case.
Out in Gunnersville, we're checking out Gunnersville, and he would leave me in the living room with his wife while he would get ready. And she would just talk my fucking ear off, bro. And every time it was the same way. I'd be sitting there and she'd sit right next to me and tell me about her son at school and how she caught him playing Grand Theft Auto and any possible thing you could think of, to the point where all I could do was like just be like, oh yeah, wow, oh that's crazy. And just, I wouldn't be saying nothing, but she wouldn't stop until we fucking left. And it was, and I'm like, yo, you don't talk to your wife at all, do you? Because when I get here and she feels like she has an ear, she don't let it go. She has nothing else to do until we leave this house. She's not going to break away from this conversation. So I think that's what happens when some of these women start getting left alone the way that they're asking to be left alone. You get a waitress who sits down at your table and starts talking to you.
Right, because now culturally we've deprived them of the kind of engagement that they would get if dudes felt comfortable just to give a compliment.
Right.
Right.
And they're used to it.
I don't know. I've got some kind of like Taliban tendencies. Like, I don't like to even look my friends' girls like really in the eye. I don't like to pay attention. Like I got this weird paranoia. Not like that I have a guilty conscience or I'm trying to do slick shit. I've just always made it a point. Like when I meet my friends' girls, like I'm just not friendly. And I've had dudes like, my wife thinks you're a fucking complete asshole. Like you don't really look at her, you don't talk to her directly. I'm like, yeah, I'm not trying to be rude. It just feels like I never want there to be any misunderstanding. So like for you sitting on the couch, I'd probably be like, yo, I got to go to the bathroom real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, and just wait until
like
he's done.
Taking a shit. Like you're talking to me way too much that I'd feel comfortable. And I'm not going to look you in the eye. I'm not going to pay too much attention to you. And it's because I don't need there to ever be any misunderstanding or confusion.
Oh, it's real. I totally, I'm pretty much the same way. I don't deal with my friends' wives like that. It was just this that situation because I'd be at his house and she just sit there and yap to me. One of the last times I saw this guy, I pissed him and his wife both off.
Good for you.
Him at me, her at him, and that was like the end of our relationship. It was hilarious. Now I'm gonna keep it real. Son had no respect for his marriage. Right. And I feel like she knew that. Not from nothing I said or did, but I mean, people know when shit ain't right. You know what I'm saying? So I knew that he had no respect for his marriage, but like I said, that's not my business. So one time he started this little thing. I met him at this pool hall. So I come to the pool hall and he was like, I think he had just bought it from somebody. So this was the place was still open in between the transaction. So it never really closed. So one day it was one guy's and the next day it was his. And I just showed up at the pool hall and I think I had been there once or twice before because it was like in the neighborhood I lived in. And I get there's a woman working behind the counter serving beers and I'm talking to my homie. And he's like, yeah, yo, you want a beer? Some girl get you a beer. I was like, oh, word, thanks. So I was like, I'll tell the lady behind me to get a Heineken. She hands me the Heineken and she was like, hi. And I was just like, hi. And I turned back around and started talking. And he was like, yo, you didn't say hi to my wife? And I was like, oh shit, that is your wife. I looked her right in the eye, bro. And it didn't register. She was a stranger. And I made the comment that I made could be taken the wrong way by a person who's in the wrong situation. I think it was perfectly fair. So I was like, oh, my bad. It's marriage goggles. I really don't see other women. I just didn't recognize you because I don't be paying attention to other women. and then got quiet. Like she stared at him, then he looked at me like, yo, what the fuck, bro? Like, why would you say something like that? Why would you allude to being a faithful husband right here in front of my wife? And that kind of, yeah. When I said marriage goggles, I don't really pay attention to other women like that. She just looked at him like, must be nice. And then he looked at me like, yo, what the fuck? This shit was hilarious. And that's literally like one of the last times I ever saw him. Shit just ruined.
That's silly. I mean, guy code, I would never tell, right? I would never tell on you. Like I would obscure or I don't know. I'm not gonna be involved. Like I won't necessarily help you actively lie, although I've done that. I can't lie. But now I'm at a point like I don't want to actively help. Just get your situation right and figure out what you want out of life. Like I don't want to be party to your web of lies, you know. But if I get a phone call, oh yeah, he is with me, or I don't know,
No, bro.
There's the guy code where you couldn't actively throw somebody under the bus, right? But I prefer not to be involved at all, you know.
No, bro. If you give your wife my phone number, or if she finds my phone number and you've told her you're with me, the jig is fucking up. The jig is up, B. I can't help you. I cannot help you. I'm not gonna help you cheat on your wife. I'm not gonna volunteer any information. But if she calls me and she's like, he said he was gonna be with you. Is he with you? I'll be like, I'm sorry, but hey, I'll just hang up the phone. like I can't do this.
But do you see the lack of accountability there? Where the dude is mad at you for saying something that I don't know what your heart or mind state was at the time, but I would think that it was 100% sincere. It wasn't like you were trying to, throw shade at him, right? You were just you were in an awkward moment where you clearly offended that woman who had talked your ear off 1,000 times before, and you literally didn't recognize her because it didn't register in your head as a face that you needed to be cognizant of, right?
In a different situation, everything.
Right. But you making that innocent and honest comment, right? Instead of him being like, yeah, I probably shouldn't be such a piece of shit. It's like, wow, I'm gonna get yelled at now because you brought attention to a area of my life that I'm not taking responsibility for. And I never understood, I guess, well, I want to have kids and I want to have a stable house and but I still want to fuck whoever I want to fuck. I mean, it just seems like a supremely selfish endeavor, but it seems to be the route that, especially if you got the financial resources to do it, pretty much everybody wants to go that route. I mean, there's very few people that, not in my immediate circle. Everybody in my immediate circle is faithful. But it seems like out in the world that seems to be, people just kind of want, like, I don't think what that dude was doing was that uncommon, right? Like he's a unique piece of shit. I think there's a lot of dudes who are just like, yeah, this is my wife, but I'm not really interested in her. I like going out and getting strange.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. He got upset immediately, and I could tell that he was pissed off about it. But like you said, it was really just an honest comment. I was keeping it all the way real. That's how I rationalized it to myself why I didn't recognize her. It was partially because I had never seen her outside of her own house. So for her to just to appear behind the bar,
didn't expect it.
It's his bar now, so it makes sense that she was there. But when I just didn't, I did not know who she was, bro. Like, have you ever looked in a person's, like, right in their eyes, in their face, get a beer from them and shit, and not know who they are, and then 5 seconds later, when it becomes clear, you're like, oh shit, I do know you. It was mind blowing, bro. It was mind blowing.
I've got friends that I still don't know their wife's name. I'm just like, that's so-and-so's wife. That's you don't get a name. I don't know.
It makes perfect sense to me.
Look, and it's just erring on the side of, and I would feel like it would be super uncomfortable and even grounds for physical altercation to be super friendly with somebody's wife. You know what I mean? Like, to be super interested in what they're saying and be super engaged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. Like,
you're asking for it. You're definitely asking for it.
Don't even make eye contact. Just, no. Just look at the ground. That's the way it should be. You should
Yeah,
be ashamed to talk to your friend's wife.
we're going backwards a little bit here. I feel like we're going back.
That's
I
what I
feel like we're
said.
losing
I
some
got
ground.
Taliban tendencies. I'm not saying I'm throwing everybody in a burqa and you can't leave without a wally. That's not what I'm saying.
Ah,
I'm just saying as a matter of personal conduct, I've always felt weird. Just, like if anything, like my girl is supposed to talk to your girl. You know what I mean?
right,
Like they need to go socialize together.
right. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. I mean, this is how you avoid a lot of issues. You avoid a lot of possibilities of problems just by not even opening the door. I'd rather you be a little bit of a jerk to my
Yeah.
wife than to try to be
Let me
overly nice and shit
let me
like
get the
that.
door for you. I'm
Yeah, oh
sorry.
no, bro,
Let
no.
me
I start a fight.
Yeah.
You must want to
Oh, no,
fight.
no, let me help you with that. No, it's on the top shelf. I'll bring it down. Don't worry.
No. Oh
I
no,
got it.
no, we're not doing that.
Like, don't
She
be
can get it
chivalrous in
herself.
my house.
She can carry that shit. She's strong. Oh fuck it. We don't support. Yeah, we don't support outside chivalry in this house. Like, no, it's
Yeah.
first of all,
Domestic
like,
chivalry
that's
only.
something I've been working to kill the concept of anyway. It's like this is a weird thing that men in general seem to have, but it makes sense when you really unpack it. It's like I don't want my wife or my daughters to expect anything special because they're women. I just don't want them to expect anything. Don't think that dudes are supposed to do any of that shit that these fairy tale fucking books tell you that they're supposed to do. Because once that information is out in the world, it becomes a tactic. And then you can't trust it anymore. If you put in Vogue magazine that a man really loves you if he holds your hand and strokes your hair, every scumbag fuck
Right.
on the planet who gets a hold of that information can then enact that to make you think there's something that they're not. You know what I'm saying? And these are just gestures. It doesn't necessarily have to mean anything. They can be carried out by a person who loves you immensely, and they can also be carried out by a person who just wants to freaking bang you and never talk to you again.
Right. And men are even easier because all you have to do is at least promise them that there's the possibility of sex. And
Yeah,
you get
promise.
just as much devotion and control.
Right. Promise them that there's a possibility of a possibility, and that's
I
enough for most.
Right. And I remember that conversation so many times, like as a kid in like middle school and high school. You're like, how do these girls not get it? How do you not understand what's going on here? It's like, yeah, but I really thought this. I really, it's so easy once you tap in. And some people divine it or it's more intuitive for them than others. And some people, you got an older cousin or something that puts you on and helps you and lets you know this is what you need to do. But yeah, there is like a formula that's super successful based on creating that expectation. And I never really thought about it that way. It's like if they have that expectation, it's so much easier to exploit it. But yeah,
Yeah.
we have a lot of ways, culturally that we understand how love is demonstrated, and then you can literally, you take for granted that somebody's not going to just pretend to be that way to get you.
Yeah, and they will. They absolutely will
Of course.
because, yeah, well, if we got the information and we know y'all falling for this shit, then who wouldn't deploy those tactics to get what you got to get?
Right.
It just makes perfect sense to think that anybody wouldn't look at this and discuss it amongst themselves. Like, oh, so y'all like flowers? I'll get some fucking flowers, no
Right.
problem. And
Which they don't. It's
well, they
not going
don't
to
like
work.
flowers anymore. That don't work no more.
The flowers don't work. Flowers flowers is like the I'm gonna write you a poem. I'm gonna bring you some flowers. I'm gonna do. I don't think that. I don't think that that's ever been an effective thing. I think that's something that we've been told that'll work. If flowers are like if you already got a girl, it's one of those things that'll make her appreciate you or feel like she's appreciated. Like it's good to get her like the dude at the bar, he should have got his girl flowers every now and then. That'd have been a great, but just going out and about, I don't know. I've never found I've never seen that work as a tactic to a
Yeah.
stranger. Like I'm gonna woo you, I'm gonna bring you some flowers.
Right. Right. Right.
It's
Right.
just showing up in a nice car that you can't afford that you're leasing. That's awesome.
Oh, that
That
might
I
work.
think that I think that'll go a lot further than flowers.
Right. I'll tell you, flowers are concerned when my personal chivalry died. So I'll tell you when chivalry died for me. Way back in the day, back when mall celebrities used to go to malls and shit,
Oh wow.
and everybody would show up at the mall to see the celebrity. My grandmother told me that Keisha Knight Pulliam. And I swear this is the only reason I even remember her name. I would just call her Rudy from the Cosby Show. That's what I would call her if it wasn't for this experience. So my grandma says, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be at the mall. You should go meet her." And I'm like, I don't, I'm pretty young, but I'm getting to that stage to where I'm like, I don't really care that much about a celebrity on a TV show. Like I understand that it's
Right.
cool and all that, but my grandmother's like, "No, you should go meet her. It'll be awesome." So my grandmother drives me to the mall. Then she proceeds to buy a bouquet of flowers and a teddy bear. And she gives me the flowers and the teddy bear and tells me to hand them to Rudy from the Cosby Show. So you see where this is going, right?
Oh yeah.
So when she gave me the flowers and the teddy bear, something changed in my brain because I really didn't want to go. It was kind of like I'm just in the backseat of my grandmother's car getting taken to the mall right now. It didn't register. When she gave me the flowers and the teddy bear, something in my mind was just like, oh. So I give her the flowers and the teddy bear, and then like we have a moment, and she, it's like, who knows? The young brain just spins a fucking fairy tale. So we get to the mall, we're waiting in line. I get to the table. I give her the flowers and the teddy bear. She said, thank you. And the guy, security, moved me out of the line and was like, all right, next. And I was like, yo, what the fuck was that? I felt so robbed, bro. I didn't know what I was supposed to get in return for that. Or like, but literally, I didn't get like a signed poster. I got nothing but a thank you for this fucking flowers and the teddy bear. And from that
Thanks,
day
beat it.
forward,
Yeah.
yeah, from that day forward, I was like, you know what? This shit's stupid. It's like, I'll never do this again. And then, years and years later, I meet my wife to be, and I'm like, just so you know, I don't celebrate Valentine's Day. I don't do none of that shit. I don't buy flowers. I'm gonna tell you right from the gate, so you know. And luckily, she respected the game. She's like, all right, it's all good. Yeah,
We
and we've
don't.
been
We're
rocking ever
not gonna have the
since.
Cosby Show on ever either.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're not doing that. This is out.
Yeah.
We can watch a different world, but we ain't watching the
Yeah.
Cosby Show.
Watch the spinoff.
Yeah, that shit was amazing, bro. That shit changed me forever. That made me realize how cheap and useless that shit was.
I mean, I just realized that my natural instincts are to be very nice and kind and caring. And in high school I learned like, wow, the guys that are assholes are getting all the pussy. Like I'm not putting up numbers like the asshole guys, and I'm spending all these money on fucking flowers. Like this is stupid. And it sounds so juvenile, but in my early 20s, I learned just to embrace, because being an asshole comes very naturally to me. If I you know um if I kind of if I'm in that mode and I want to like revel in that energy, like I could be an asshole best numbers of my life. Best run, just
Yeah.
not caring, not being concerned at all. And it's such a cliche, but once you learn that and all the power goes away and you realize like, wait a minute, like I'm totally in control of this. Why am I wasting all of this energy? It's very it's very disheartening, because if I had kids, I'd like to tell my young son, like, be kind, be sweet, be I had a girl tell me once recently, not that it mattered because I'm with somebody, but we were all at a table like having brunch with some friends, and we were just all talking openly, and she's like, I could never fuck you, you're just way too nice. And I'm just thinking in my head, it's like, now in my head also, I'm like, yeah, but I know how happy you are because I know who is fucking you. So I know how miserable you are. But that's cool, like I wasn't offended at it, but I was just like, wow, like that's like it's cool that you're that self-aware and honest with yourself. But also it's like you see what this does to the dynamic, like how you kind of, you're unhappy that a dude is fucking you and treating you like shit, but out of your own admission, like that shit is attractive to you. So I
Yeah.
don't, you know, and I don't want to get into like of a misogynistic kick, but I just really feel like for whatever reason in the way that we're wired, I think it's harder for women to figure out how to be happy or what makes them happy or to be aware of the things that bring them misery and not to chase it. I don't know. I don't know. It's mysterious. Like 90% of my relationship is figuring out how to keep my girl happy. What do I need to do to make sure that you're happy? Like happiness for me is such an easy thing. Like I've been around. I went for a walk. I played some video games. I read a little bit. I'm ecstatic. I'm happy. Like that's my natural setting, you know. But so I call my girl and she's miserable. And I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? What
Right.
do I need to do to get you out of your funk and get you in happy mode? But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's always been very, very mysterious for me. And I feel like I couldn't have been in a relationship until I got into my 40s because I really think that is when women start to become a little bit reasonable. That that and I remember when I was a young man, my aunt told me, she's like, look, women don't make sense until they're about 40. About 40, and I've found that my aunt was right on the money for the most part. Of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, but when you're talking to somebody and it's like you're trying to solve problems and your mind is wired to solve problems, and you're talking to someone who's not happy and doesn't know why they're not happy or doesn't know what they need to do to get happy, you're just kind of like, I don't know how to work out the numbers on this math equation. I don't,
Yeah.
I can't make sense of this.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that I've noticed over time to be a constant thing that replays itself out is that a lot of women, even at young ages, they want a person. They want to feel like a person changed for them. They want to feel like somebody. They don't want you as you are necessarily. They want you to graduate into something or evolve into something because of them. So if you meet a guy that's nice and wants to, take you for long walks on the beach at sunset, it's like, yeah, that's some sucker shit. But if you meet a guy who's an asshole and doesn't give a damn about you, and then he wants to go on a long walk at the beach with you, that's special. But this guy's gonna go on long walks on the beach with every girl he hangs out with. So, what makes me any different? You know what I'm saying? He's gonna buy all these bitches flowers. But if I can get this son of a bitch right here who cheats on me and slaps me around, if I can get him to buy me flowers, then that validates, her potency as an influential factor in his life. And I think that shit right there is probably the root of most of why, the women who do select like just bad men, I think that's probably what's at the foundation of it, is that they want to see this guy change into something better. But if you were presented with a guy who already had those qualities, he wouldn't be as attractive.
Hmm,
It's a
that makes
strange, spiral there. But I've seen it recur so many times. I feel like that's the root of the whole problem. You're a sucker if you're already doing it, but if you don't do it and you do it for me, it's special. That's why I
sense.
don't fuck with that kind of stuff. I got lucky. I got very fortunate because when I met my wife, I was fed up, bro. I was fed up with relationships and all. I at the time, I wouldn't have cared if at the very beginning. I don't think I would have cared if it lasted 3 weeks or 6 months. I was really just like, yeah, we're having fun hanging out right now, but we may not end up together, so don't get used to me, type shit. Like that's the kind of shit I was saying to her when we first got together. I was telling her, about another thing that's pretty, could be considered archaic and misogynistic is that I remember explaining to her that, like if we out together and you see some dude or a friend or something like that, you always introduce him to me before you actually greet him yourself. Like you see a guy, he walks up on us, he's like, "Oh, hey." The first thing you say is, "This is my guy. Hey, how you been?" You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just
Right.
walk off to this guy and say, "Hey," and start a conversation because I'll leave. I'll just leave. You know what I'm saying? But she was like, "Okay, I get that," and I'm like, "I'm not telling you this because I'm trying to shape you into the woman I want you to be. I'm telling you something that most men will respect. So even if we don't end up together, whoever you end up with will respect this type of action." from you. And in her mind, she's like, who the fuck is this guy think he's talking to? Telling me we're not gonna be together. Shit. Like, well, what is this? What is this weird type of game you trying to run on me? But it was real. That's just how I felt. And it's because of what I had just previously went through. And that whole detachment kind of thing probably helped us. It in all likelihood, it's probably, and maybe not the detachment, the honesty that came from my detachment. That's what it was. Maybe not the detachment itself, but I was so honest with her. I was keeping it so real because I really didn't have any expectations about where the relationship was going to go. So why not give her the game? Why not do something nice for once instead of, what I'm saying? Instead of running game with women and trying to get their heads in a loop and shit, I'll just give you the game. I'll tell you what's up. I'm going to just give you some tools to take out here in the world. So whoever your next boyfriend is, and she's like, what the fuck? but but it worked out. And I think that type of approach, I'm gonna teach my sons the same thing. The same thing. Just don't have these type of expectations on people's time and their presence, and they don't owe you nothing. I saw a T-shirt from it's like a real like feminist company. It was on Instagram. I saw a T-shirt that said "Women don't owe you shit," and I was like, that's kind of a dope T-shirt. I ain't even mad at that, bro, because I feel like we got issues with that in society. Men who want to, flag women down. Hey, let me talk to you. She's like, nah, no thanks. Well, fuck you then, bitch. They freak out because like, bro, she's not. You're not entitled to this woman's time and energy and space, and you struck out. Just fucking try again later, bro.
Does that even happen anymore though?
Well, maybe not as much now because people are kind of cooped up a little bit with mask on and shit. So I guess
No, but
it's a little bit different
come here,
now.
bitch. I don't even know what you look like. I'm gonna play the
Right,
lottery though.
right.
Slip
But
your mask down a little bit. Let me see.
I've seen in real life. I've seen dudes get upset and change their whole tune. You see her walking towards you,
As
and
an
it's like,
adult
oh,
though, like as
yeah,
an adult man, wow.
yeah. Oh my God, look at that. And then you try to talk to her, and she don't want to talk to you. Next thing you know, she's ugly and fat, and I just wanted to fuck anyway. And I've seen that shit before in real life.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it too, but only like as a teenager. Like I've never been out in the world as an adult and seen a guy try to talk to a girl and respond like that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Not often, but I've definitely seen it. I hear a lot of women complain about shit like that too. I don't know how often it's really happening now in the real world, but I've definitely seen it in my adult life. I've seen it in a random city that I used to hang out in on the weekends. Insert city name here.
No,
But
no,
yeah,
no. Ybor City is fine. It was specifically because I didn't know if you still talk to that dude because we had established that he was unfaithful to his wife,
oh
right?
right, right. Oh yeah, I
Right,
don't talk.
right. So it's like in Riverview. I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute.
So
It's
a
like,
guy in the
right,
Riverview who
right,
cheats on
right.
his wife.
So
Okay.
somebody's gonna go through the little Rolodex in their head and
Start
start
scrolling
crunching the
through my
numbers.
friends list and
Right,
shit.
right.
See who lives in
That
Riverview.
right. That was
This
the only
cheating
reason.
motherfucker right here.
Piece of shit.
You just start sending him random DMs about how he ain't shit because he cheats on his wife. But yeah,
Oh.
it's madness, bro. So, and of course, we get the extreme cases that happen. I mean, anytime is too many times, but I think the last one was like 2 years ago, maybe at the carnival shit in New York, where a woman got shot because a dude she didn't want to talk to a dude. He's pulled out a gun and shot her. And like, don't get me wrong, of course, that's a psychopath. That's not like, oh, just some guy did that.
Right. That
This is
might
a
be an
fucking
outlier.
psycho. Yeah, this is a fucking psycho. But
Not
this is
indicative of
talking about
trends.
the entitlement that people have about a woman's time and energy and shit like that. Even people make excuses for it, like, well, you can at least be nice. Like, she don't have to be nice either. Leave people the fuck alone, bro. Like, it's easy to say from my point of view because I'm not out in the world trying to get sex. So it's easy for me to say, Joe, just leave her alone, bro. Just move on with your fucking life. But the thirst is real. Let's not get it
Yeah.
fucked. The thirst is real. But I've never in life been a, hey, let me get your number guy.
No, I have never once in the history of my life talked my way into pussy ever.
Yeah, never.
Never. It's always been thrown at me or demanded of me. I've led a very privileged life in that regard. And the times that I've gone and tried to talk to women, I have failed horribly. Horrible. Just massive, they're all gonna laugh at you ridicule. Because it always felt so unnatural to me.
Yeah.
Like I've got no business just coming up to you and just, you know what I mean, making I don't know. It just never felt, I don't know. I've never been in my element doing that. So I've been fortunate. Because honestly, to make a confession, I don't really like women. If I'm being 100%
Me either.
honest,
Me
I
either.
don't I
I'll keep it
don't
real.
I don't understand them for the most part. I always feel like it's confusing and things get more complicated than it needs to be. Um, and it's like I know my girl will be like, I hear you, talking. She'll name some of my friends. Like, you talking to so and so and blah blah blah. And the way that you talk to them is so much different than the way you talk to me. It's like, yeah, because they're and I could go over with you the litany of reasons for that. And she was like, nah, well, it's just because we're fucking. Because we're fucking, it's different. I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with whether we're fucking or not. It has to do with how you have a conversation and how you're gonna make demands of me to agree with you that I'm not gonna have in a context of any other conversation. But I love them as a species, as a
Right.
group, like
Right.
as a concept and for what they do in
From a distance.
civilization. They
From a
raise
distance.
us right, but just to be, I feel like our operating systems are so much different that it's just I don't know, man. It feels and I don't know. Maybe I'm slightly autistic and that's why I don't know. But it's just always been weird for me. And so like my girl has me because my girl just she chose me. She just decided, hey, you belong to me now. That's it.
Yeah.
You're in my stable. I got you now. You're mine. But it wasn't like something I was going after her going because I'm just not. I could care less. And there's all these horror stories and things that you see, like everybody seems miserable. You know what I mean? There's very few people that seem to be happy. So I've always had like an aversion to want to be in anything long term because I don't want to be that dude who's like, all right, I gotta go to the strip club, I gotta cheat on my wife, I'm miserable, I don't want to be with this bitch, but we got kids and debt together, so I can't go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, and that
Yeah.
seems like that seems to be the majority of people's experience. And if it's
Yeah.
not your experience, you're very fortunate. But I'm like, I don't know, man. Like some dudes, like they love the game and the challenge and the manipulation. Them trying to manipulate her, being hip to the fact that she's trying to manipulate me, and and that whole that that dynamic that's at work in the man woman power struggle. I was just like, listen, I don't want anything to involve with that. Anybody who'd like to have sex with me, just let me know. That's great. But I appreciate it. Thank you. And then that I don't know, man. I've never as an adult like really made an effort. I
Yeah.
just it just seemed like the fast track to being miserable. And I'm
Right.
happy with my girl now. We always, I mean, we definitely have our issues, but we're honest with each other. You know what I mean? Like, and it seems like everybody else, most people's relationship is built on one person like wielding the power dynamic in a way that's favorable to them, either with some kind of mode of deception or some kind of manipulation. It's one or the other. It's either like the super demanding manipulative like woman, bossing the dude around, or it's the dude like, I got to keep this bitch in the dark. You know what I'm saying? I need all my friends to lie for me.
Right.
It just seems like it's one extreme or the other. Very few instances where it seems like it's two people who actually like each other and like being around each other,
Right.
and have shared principles where they're really trying to like build a life together. It's like I'm trying to build my life and I need you in some capacity, so I'm going to do what I need to do to get what I need out of you, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Whether it's for
It's
you to take care of my kids and run my house, or whether it's for you to pay my bills, and give me a certain status in life.
It's very strange. It's very strange. A lot of people have been surprised at how affectionate me and my wife can be with each other, or how, like, you talk about. I had somebody I knew. We used to record music together back in the day, and he said one time to me that he noticed I never refer to my wife as a bitch when we talking. Like, he brought that up to me because he thought that was something that was so surprising because of his peer group and everything. He
Right.
he just noticed it and thought it was worth mentioning. Because when we hanging out, I don't say, yeah, my bitch want me to blah blah blah. He said, I noticed you never call your wife a bitch. Why is that? Oh, because it's my fucking wife. I mean, why would I be referring to my wife as a bitch just for fun? I can't get that. I just don't. I didn't see it, but it's hilarious. Like, my whole. I learned my place when I was young, when it came to access to women and all of that shit. Every significant relationship I've ever had was because of proximity over an extended amount of time. Most of the relationships I've been in, I'm almost positive if I had walked up to them and tried to talk to them, it wouldn't have worked. But this person worked at a place that was close to my house or something like that.
Right.
And they would just see me so many times that eventually they'd be like, yo, you look how you seem kind of cool. And then something would evolve from there. And then the next relationship would be the same way. This woman was on the bus that I used to ride coming, my senior year in high school. She was on the same bus I used to ride. I saw her every day for the whole school year. And then that evolved into something. Now, I knew my wife at least a year and a half before we actually start talking. You know what I'm saying? And we saw each other a bunch of times. And it's like that proximity seems to create this sense of like trust and extra value and shit like that. And it just makes me different than I would have been if I had just popped up on them and started trying to run game. So when I
Right.
noticed that pattern, I completely abandoned even the possibility of trying to just talk to a chick, explosive energy, and get her phone number. I'm like, that's not my steez. That's not how I work. That shit does not work for me. If I like you, I'll try to see you 46 times. And if I see if I see you, like, just naturally, I'm not gonna stalk you or nothing like that.
Right. Right.
But if I can see you 46 times, I'm pretty sure something will happen after that. That's just been the way, and I accepted it too. My friends was out, I got a couple buddies who was those let's see how many numbers we can get in one night kind of guys. You know what I'm saying? I know those dudes who get dressed all fancy and lay their outfits out across the bed and shit, and put the shoes at the bottom so they know what they're gonna look like when they go out, all that shit. I'm just like, okay, I mean, if that's how you want to roll, but you just got to know your place. I guess that's what it comes down to. Everybody don't function the same way. Everybody don't have the same type of energy. So there's
Right.
something that a person could see in you after a month of knowing you that there's no way they could have seen if they met you on that one day and then you tried to push the issue. It just might not go. And I think when you try to occupy spaces that's not really built for you, that's when the trouble comes. That's when the entitlement starts, and that's when you get upset and like all kind. That just drives you into a dark place. So I'm glad I escaped that dark place by understanding exactly the effect that I had on women. I almost said females. I know that's a problematic word now too.
It just seems it's also dumb to talk about anything in terms of that something has to be one way or another definitively.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure there's a lot of girls that like to be approached that way. Like, oh, I see that you got all dressed up and you got, and you're out peacocking and trying to get noticed, and that makes me glad that you noticed me because you're out here making effort, or whatever. And some women like to be approached that way. They don't want to necessarily be harassed by a dude that they're not interested in, but um for in certain situations, like, it's flattering. And another thing too, if it didn't work, nobody would do it. At some point, efficacy has to be a factor here. Like,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
if no one ever was like, hey, hi, what up, ma, how you doing, blah, blah. If that never worked, then nobody would ever do it, ever.
Yeah.
It'd be like, this is stupid. What's the point of this? It literally never works. So if it works for you, it works for you. And I don't feel comfortable saying that you should do this or you should do that, or everybody's an individual. If a person asks you to leave me alone, or I don't appreciate that, then that's the end of it. You
Yeah.
know?
It's a numbers game anyway, bro. Just swing
Yeah.
400 more times tonight. You just got to keep swinging, buddy. Somebody's gonna. I mean, it might be at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it might not be the people you set your sights on earlier in the night. But if you
Right.
stick around long enough, this place is gonna start
But
clearing out.
just go near a military base and go to the closest massage parlor
Oh
that's
my
in
god!
proximity to the military base, and you'll be fine. And
Why
another
the
thing,
military base though? This seems like a secret hack or something. Why? Because I know the massage parlors, but why the
because
ones closest to
soldiers
military bases?
because soldiers are super horny and they're fucking and they're deployed. They're away from their wives. They're on a
Mm.
military base. That if there is a massage parlor near a military base, there's a very high probability you can negotiate some pussy.
Yeah, and it's probably the ones that are least likely to get raided by the cops because they're
Right,
servicing the military community.
right.
You don't want to
There's a
fuck that up.
silent partnership.
Yeah, you don't want a bunch of backed up military guys with nothing else
Right,
to do.
with a
And
whole bunch of ammo and
yeah,
sexual
we don't. Yeah,
frustration.
yeah, we don't need that. We don't
Yeah,
need that.
and the one thing I can say that would maybe justify or make the aloof thing or the detached thing make sense too is I feel like the woman always has to love you a little bit more than you love her for it to work. Like you can't love each other equally. There's something I feel like as a man it makes you less attractive to women if you love them too much. I
Mm.
don't know.
Now, the interesting thing about that is that my wife told me her like 80 something year old grandmother told her that same thing, but the opposite. That
The man's always got to love you more.
right. So it's crazy that because that's the only time I've ever heard that was from her saying, repeating to me what her grandmother said. So for you to say it in the opposite, this is actually in the ether that somebody should love somebody a little bit more. That's kind
Yeah,
of strange. That's weird because I don't even know how you would. I mean, I get the concept, but I don't know how you would really like quantize something like that. How you would pull that all together to say, okay, this person clearly loves more than the other person. That's weird. That's weird. I
well,
guess just expression, maybe the level
yeah,
of expression has to be different. You can't have. I mean, I can see where a woman would be turned off by a guy who's always fucking, sobbing and waxing poetic over her and shit. And
oh yeah, that's
yeah, that could be that's some sucker shit. You know what I'm saying? But that don't necessarily mean that he loves her less. He just understands that you can't be out here doing this kind of shit and still look like a quote unquote man to her.
I think the
Versus
best thing that you could do as a man is just to get good at something. That's the best thing you can do to raise your market value and be attractive to a woman is just be good at something.
right,
Even if it's just talking, you know, even if it just being smart, just be good at something, have some kind of skill that'll make you more attractive to a woman than just um catcalling her and
right.
harassing her. It wasn't my grandmother, it was my great aunt who was I mean, the same age as my grandmother. My grandmother's peer. But she was like, yeah, the woman's always got to love you more. That's the only way it works. The woman got to love you more. So there's a bunch of grandmothers with different philosophies. Maybe that's just the grandmother lie. Just whatever gender you are, they
Yeah,
want you
you
to have
just
the upper
flip it.
hand. Like, look, just make sure whoever you get with, make sure they love you more so that you're in control.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. I never thought about anything like that, honestly. But I have had feelings and things that I knew I had to process inside my own head and refine it before I let it out. I have to I got to reconfigure this. I can't give it to you in a stream of consciousness because it's going to sound like some sucker shit. You know what I'm saying? So I got to fix this in a way where it doesn't betray too much. It doesn't put me at too much of a disadvantage. But so I get that sentiment, but I think it's just about how you present it versus what you're actually feeling.
Yeah,
Cuz
that could be fair, and I
yeah.
think maybe that's what they meant by it. Yeah, I learned that much later in life. So I've got a litany of sucker shit moments. I've got I've
we,
got a torrid past
we
of
gotta we
sucker
gotta
shit.
we gotta go break some of those down one day. We gotta have a segment on the show where we relive sucker shit moments from our past.
Oof.
Just tell sucker shit stories at least
Like to
once every episode.
to this day, like you'll think back and you're like, I'll cringe in real time, like,
Mm, yeah, yeah.
like I want that shit to be as far in the past as possible.
Yeah, that's the crazy shit about the mind, the mind, and how the body functions with chemicals and shit. Like you can really relive embarrassment from 20 years ago, like it happened yesterday.
Yeah. Or it's
You be
happening
fucking
right now. Like,
gut wrenching. Like, oh, what a son of a bitch! Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think you owe us a sucker shit moment because of my Keisha Knight Pulliam story.
oh
My Rudy
yeah.
story. That was definitely a sucker shit moment. It was very early, so I can't even fully be blamed for it because
No,
my
no, no,
grand.
wait, no.
But
That
it was kind of a sucker shit moment.
nah, that was you were party to a sucker shit moment, but you were not the author. You were
Right. Right.
you were coerced. You know what I mean? Like I look at you as like one of those child soldiers that they like cut slits under your eyes and fill it with cocaine and hand you an AK.
Yeah.
Get out there. Like
That's exactly what happened. That is literally what my grandmother did to me. That
she
situation.
got you all hyped up on love,
Yep.
put a teddy bear and flowers in your hand,
It's
armed
like a
you,
pistol and a grenade. Yep.
right, sent you right in. Hey,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
Go
got
ahead, get in
played.
there, champ.
And then she drove me all the way back home. In her mind, in her mind, it was a success. She didn't see nothing wrong with the way that exchange went
No,
down.
you know what? It made that shit like horrifically, like more traumatizing, but hilarious. Like if you're ever gonna write that scene out as a moment, and you borrow that from your life, is if the whole ride home, like she's just looking at you with contempt, like you fucked it up, and
Oh wow.
like this was our chance, like
That
to
was
be
your
the
big moment.
celebrity, right? And I equipped you with everything, and you fucking blew it.
Oh,
Like it just made you feel like a piece of shit the
that's,
whole ride home.
that's
Oh,
hilarious, dude.
it'd have
And
been horrible.
my grandmother, she lived through it because in real life, my grandmother's brother, who I guess is my great uncle, so I don't even know how that shit works, but my grandmother's brother used to date Gladys Knight.
Oh wow.
My grandmother's brother dated Gladys Knight before she popped and he fucked it up. So I heard that story every Thanksgiving for fucking, for 15 years or whatever while I was growing up. We heard that story every Thanksgiving, bro. Yeah, your uncle or whatever he used to date Gladys Knight. And he fucked that one up, didn't he? Like type of shit.
They just make
So
them relive it every Thanksgiving.
right, she might have been trying to recover by sending me to meet Rudy from the fucking Cosby show with the
That was gonna
flowers and the
set
teddy
everything
bear.
right.
Right, right. We're gonna get back in the game. Our family can do it. Trust me. Just give her this. Just give her this, and we're back in. Yeah, that shit was terrible. Bro. That was the longest ride home from the mall ever.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
sucks.
so sucker shit moments have been officially added to our podcast segments. I'm gonna make sure. I mean, I don't know how many I have, but there's been a few. I can't lie. There's definitely been a few. I put myself in some situations where, looking back, it was like that was just stupid, and I have no idea why I even thought shit like that was gonna go in my favor. But hey, that this is how you learn. This is how you learn.
Exactly.
Everything worked out perfectly because, like I said, my detachment and unwillingness to accept complex emotions is what got me married. I
that's
mean,
that that's a great standard. The unwillingness to accept complex emotions.
yeah, yeah, and just having a person who's focused and they see enough in you to stick around and tolerate it. Because that's also doesn't mean I'm an asshole. I'm nice, I'm decent, but it's just that when it comes to thinking about the forward part of how these relationships evolve and everything, I was just like, man, I ain't even worried about that shit. I don't even care. And I'm pretty sure that energy is what got me to where I am today. I feel like if I went in from the beginning on some, oh man, we're gonna fucking live happily ever after, that shit probably wouldn't have worked. It probably wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, because the expectations to get created in your mind and the way that you approach it. Yeah, I think that's probably 95% of it is just getting all of this bullshit out of the way that gets programmed into us.
Mhm.
about what we should expect and how we should approach it. And there's no component to it that's really just left to a natural progression anymore. It's really like your parents tell you how it's supposed to go. You watch movies where you get all these ideas of like, and that's one thing I realized too. Like, everything in movies that they tell you that the woman wants is absolutely not it. It is
Yeah,
absolutely not it.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah.
you go and you make this big romantic gesture, you make a scene and then she knows how much you love her. It's like, no, then
Uh-uh.
she just thinks you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
You
don't do
just,
that.
yeah. So I think getting deprogramming yourself from all of that stuff so that you can just have like an open, have a clean slate and just naturally relate to another person. I think as simple as that sounds, it's hard to get to that point where you can.
It
And
is.
I think that's why so many people just got married and then ended up regretting it because everybody was just kind of going through the motions of what they thought they were supposed to do.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, you're sitting on the couch next to a person for hours on end, and you don't want to talk to them, and you're disgusted by everything they do. Like she's chewing too loud. This guy just left his socks on the floor. It's fucking it, like I
Right.
can't take it. Everything becomes unbearable.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not in that situation, but I know it's very common for a lot of people because you hear people the way they talk about marriage and the way
Yeah.
just the way people talk about each other in general and marriage. So you listen to enough women talk about men and listen to enough men talk about women, you'll feel like it's fucking hopeless out there.
That's
Absolutely
definitely,
hopeless.
yeah.
It's
That's
terrible.
definitely how it seems.
Yeah. I hear a lot of people talking a lot of crazy shit. And mostly I tend to listen to more dudes talk than I do women because I feel like I don't know. I guess it's just because when I listen to men talk about this stuff, there seems to be more logic involved, even though I don't agree with a lot of the stuff they're saying, but I also understand that I'm fortunate. So I don't pretend that the situation that I'm in is easy to come by. I'm just not, I don't just, no, just go out there and meet a nice girl and marry her. Like, I know that's not realistic. So when I listen to the problems that they're talking about and the shit that women put them through, the one thing that is from the male perspective, the one thing that I see most guys failing at is they feel like the equation that they solve on paper makes them worthy or it gives them entitlements about how many women and what type of women they should have access to. I very rarely hear these men who complain about women say anything about their personalities, their own personalities, their own emotional intelligence. Like how I don't hear them say any of that. Dudes say, "I make the money, I pay the bills, so she should blah 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 blah." It's always a logical equation that they've drawn. I have a brand new car, so I shouldn't have to tell you where I've been all night. Type shit, and it's just I don't understand that. I get that men are seen as a utility, and if you can fulfill those utilities, that definitely gives you more leverage in the power dynamic. But that's corporate shit. That's not relationship shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right. It's
this is
not
this
gonna
is
have,
something you play in the boardroom, not in your house with another human being that you're supposed to love. That's that. I don't see the same. You can't
but
use the same tactics.
but where there's a flaw in that logic though, is that there would be if they applied that same equation to a friendship, they wouldn't be able to justify it.
Right.
And
That's true.
you'd be a piece of shit. So it's like you don't you don't give your girl the same equality or equity that you would give to your friend in terms of reciprocating loyalty. But in that particular power dynamic, you believe that because of what you do, you're entitled to not give the same loyalty to her that you're expecting from her.
Right.
And that's really what it always comes down to. There's very few people that are cool with just swinging, but that seems to be like the number one thing is like I want to be able to fuck other girls, but I give you a place to live and I take care of you, so I should be able to do that. Yeah, that's definitely a common formula.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. None of that shit makes sense to me. Like I said, I definitely understand how power dynamics work, but you also have to understand the people who are on the downside of those power dynamics. They don't just rest there and enjoy being there. They're waiting for an opportunity to flip this shit on you and take full advantage of you because of how, of course, like who wants to just stay there comfortably and be like, well, that as long as he pays the bills, I'll let him do whatever he wants. I mean, that's just life. No, that shit's gonna breed a deep resentment, bro. You're gonna wake up
Right.
with a knife in your head one day. You know what I'm saying? Like some crazy shit, bro. This you putting people in a position to where they could learn to hate their lives and hate you and have no perceivable way out because of the fact that she may not have her own money stashed away and she may not be able to just walk away and go start another life. That's a powder keg, son. That's
Yeah.
that it's a thin line between love and hate shit. Here I am laying in the hospital, bandaged from feet to head. Like, yeah, I bet you didn't think that shit was gonna happen, did you? You can't be playing with people's consciousness like that. That shit is not cool, man. Versus now, when I hear women are complaining about nebulous, goofy shit to me. To me, in my opinion, like I hear a lot of women complaining about the fact that men don't make plans, and that's like to demasculinize this guy because he says, whatever you want to do, where you want to go. She says, "Oh, you don't take me out. You're supposed to just make reservations and say shit like, don't pack nothing. We'll go shopping when we get there." It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Is this really how you? This is really how you're configuring your life in your mind?
Right. And that's where too, like, where I say I don't like women. My friends make more sense to me because there would never be a situation where you would say to your friend or he would say to you or you either one of you would be comfortable. It's like, yo, we're gonna go on this trip. Don't pack nothing, dog. I got you. I'll make sure I'll buy you some clothes and
What?
right. It's just never. It's not something you would ever think to do. It's like, yo, we're gonna go on this trip. We're gonna enjoy each other's company. We're gonna make so we're gonna live out some memories. This is cool. It's gonna be an experience. But like it's I don't know, man. I but I guess you're supposed to think about it because this is the thing too that's confusing to me is there's this constant drum bang or whatever, like equality, men and women are the same, men and women are the same, men and women are the same. But anytime I apply any logic or this is how this is my friend, this is a person I love and I care about, I wouldn't expect him to do this for me, and I wouldn't expect, he wouldn't expect me to do this for him, but we got each other's back or whatever. So all of the ways that you would define, loyalty and concern and values in a friendship dynamic with another dude, if you apply that shit to your woman, none of it works. None
Right.
of it, none of it is, there's a certain expectation that it's not supposed to be equitable. Like, and it's not supposed to be so I keep hearing the equality, but that doesn't make you happy if we interact on the level of equals. It just doesn't. Especially when there's things like, as much as we'll say that there's no difference, if you really try to live that out, like, I don't need to be doing anything because we're both equals, you know, that would be the number one complaint. Like, yo, this dude ain't shit. He don't take care of this. He don't take care of that. So I've always thought it's just a very convenient point for women that we've arrived at, that they've cherry picked the best parts of chivalry and the best parts of equality, and we got everything that's left over, and it just seems like everything is geared towards um, making it comfortable for them, regardless of how we feel about any of it. And I think, and I don't know but I would assume the misogyny came first, and maybe this is just an allergic reaction to all the bullshit women have gone through. But it seems like that's either the response or that's what dudes' positions are, so that they never get into that position. Like, I'm just going to be in control. I'm going to use the money and my utilitarian usefulness as leverage so that I can always be in this position. And if that makes another human being miserable, well, I don't care, because I don't want to end up being the miserable party, who has to do all of the, do all the chores but have none of the say. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I don't know. It seems like either way, it seems like a shitty situation for one person. And I guess the ideal would be, for both people's happiness and wants to be considered. But it always seems like one person always has a little bit more leverage, or one person is always a little bit lower on the the influence scale. I don't know, man. And I think where we're at now is, I think our generation was like, uh the people before us started getting divorced. We got really, really divorced, and the people coming after us, they don't even want to get together.
Yeah.
Like, birth rates are down, marriage is down. Like, no, most people now, I guess the kids coming up are just like, look, y'all thought it was shitty when you guys were looking at what was available. And maybe it's just because it's just the culture is wrong. Well, like, I don't think men and women are being like raised to know how to be in a functional relationship. And so they're
Right.
just bringing their dysfunction that they come from and think that, okay, well, this is the way that it needs to be, because this is the dysfunction I saw modeled. And none of us are really being prepped, to be good husbands or good wives or good partners, because we're not
Facts.
good people. We're
Facts.
not we're not being cultured to be decent people. And I guess our relationships are the byproduct of it.
Yeah, it seems like it because it's from the outside looking in. It seems like where it's in a really destructive state. It's in a state of disrepair. But it could also be that, like we spoke about before, the people at the extremes make the most noise. Maybe the people who are happy are just sitting at home watching Netflix, and they're not on they're
Right.
not on Facebook. Like, oh no, you're wrong. My wife is awesome. They're just reading all these posts like, hey, you're bad. If this is who you married, it's your fault. I'm turning on another movie because I don't care.
Yeah.
I definitely don't try to defend women when I hear people say shit about women and wives. I don't get in those conversations because I'm like, this shit ain't for me. I don't know what you did. I don't know how you configured your life, but hey, sounds like you fucked up somewhere. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like you fucked up because then they immediately go from everything that the picture that they were just painting to defending their wife. So if you're talking about how messed up women are and how marriage is shit and all of this stuff, and I just say it sounds like you married the wrong woman, that's going to turn into an argument about defending his wife. 100%. So I just avoid that shit. I don't even care, bro. But looking at the stuff that people are saying and what people accept as functional relationships is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Like some okay, you tell me what you think. Some stuff might be like a personal pet peeve of mine, but it just seems ugly to me. So I know a guy whose wife posts on Facebook pictures of like her celebrity crushes and shit. And it's not just like she posts these pictures of these football players and shit with their shirt off, and she says shit like yummy and look at zaddy, whatever the fuck that means. I don't know what daddy with a Z. I don't know what. I have no idea where this shit comes from and why it's different. Because daddy has already been sexualized in couples. Like, women, even if you don't have kids with the dude, they call a guy daddy. So where did the Z come from in that situation? And why is your woman fantasizing about tasting this guy? Because if you write yummy, I kind of feel like you want to put this guy in your mouth. I
Right. Well,
mean, I
this.
could be wrong, but that's what I feel like. So we have to have a serious conversation. If I saw if I saw my wife posting a picture of a dude and saying yummy, we're gonna have a long talk. And that post is probably gonna get deleted before the end of the day. But is that me? Is that patriarchy talking?
I feel like, uh, guys, we would get together, right, and we would, like, it's totally normal for dudes to talk about chicks that are just super bad. Like, yo, did you see so and so? Like, oh yeah, oh my god, like, and that's not you, um, cheating on your wife or whatever. It's just, it's dudes bonding in the fact that, okay, we're heterosexual, we have testosterone, we find the same things appealing. And it's really like a dumb conversation when you really think about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It'd be like a bunch of basketball players like, so you like basketball? I really like basketball. Word?
Right.
Well, like we have on jerseys and we're
I
at a
could play
court.
some ball right now. Now that you
Right. Well,
mention
there's a hoop right there. Let's go ahead and do it. It just seems redundant. Like, yeah, we're all heterosexual guys. Yes, women are pretty. So it just seems dumb. But, it's one of those conversations that'll come up that it's like, oh, yeah, yeah, she's bad and da 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 da. I don't find those conversations particularly interesting. But I also understand, too, like, as a dude, I'm a weirdo if I'm in a group and that comes up and I'm just not showing any. I don't make any comment. I don't have any interest, but it's not an interesting conversation to me. So I'm sure girls have conversations about, dudes that are dreamy, you know. Um, I just feel like Facebook is freezing in time like a record of something that would be kind of trivial if it was done in passing,
right.
right? Like, well, like if like if her man was having a conversation with a bunch of other dudes and talking about, Cardi B, oh, she's yummy, and probably not the adjective dudes would use, but for argument's sake,
Right. Right.
let's compare apples to apples. So Cardi B, yummy. So she wouldn't be like appalled. Like, yeah, you're seeing a woman that a lot of dudes find attractive. I wouldn't expect you not to be attracted to her. But you're not fucking her. You're not betraying me with her. So just you admiring her, it's not really a big deal. But yeah, when it gets like etched into stone because it's posted somewhere, now it's like a public declaration. Now it's
Right.
like you put up a poster talking about Cardi B is yummy. So that it just makes it seem more extreme. And if it's cataloging a casual conversation, yeah, it's really trivial and probably innocent and no big deal. But because what social media has become, yeah, I could see how it's a problem, even though I couldn't really defend that much of a difference of whether you just said it casually in a conversation, because that's really what Facebook is now. It's just
Yeah.
something
Yes.
casual
Yeah.
that she put up. It's not like she's making a proclamation. Like, within 6 months, I expect to be fucking this dude. I'll find a way. I'll make my path. But it does seem like, yeah, if you're with somebody, to be posting that, like, I don't know, man. I mean,
It's
if
it's a little weird though. I feel it's
it
a little
is,
weird. A little bit. I feel like it's almost an act of aggression. I feel like when you decide to make something like that public and I feel like it's a little bit of a jab at the person that you're married to. I feel like it's a purposeful
it
act
could
with
be.
intention. That's what I feel like, because it takes a lot to create this post and find a picture and to do all that on social media when you have a real world significant other. If
Right.
it's your boyfriend, whatever, who cares? But if it's like your husband, father, your children, and whatever, and I feel the same way if it was a guy posting about a woman.
Right.
And by the way, if I heard a friend of mine call Cardi B yummy, I would definitely be questioning his sexuality. I'm like, you're trying to throw us off the scent.
Right, right. You
You're not
just,
attracted to Cardi B, are you? Just tell the truth.
just, yeah, we're friends here. You don't
Yeah,
have
we're
to put on a
everybody's
show
friends. We're
for us.
adults. Just keep it real.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Just keep it real.
You just have to pretend that, yeah,
But
yada yada. No
yeah,
big.
that's a weird one. But I mean, shit like that. This is the kind of shit that you see when you on Facebook and other couples and shit like that. Shit definitely gets
Toxic.
aired out. Yeah, it definitely gets aired out. And
You can
I'm
tell when people are fighting,
yep.
right? You can tell what they're going through. It's too much access, and people are and too comfortable in what they put out there to be aired out. And I wasn't even thinking about that dimension of it. But yeah, you're right. There could definitely be some underhanded, like, I am, because I can't. I'd imagine most women would just feel like that's disrespectful. Like most, I think most women, like, unless she's just a sorry bitch, but most women that are decent and wouldn't want to do anything to make their dude feel disrespected,
Right.
especially in a public area. It'd be the same thing as like girls, you know, if your girl catches you catching something out of the corner of your eye, like, I don't think she's gonna be that mad at you, right? But if you turn your head, you know what I'm saying, while you're with her, that
You
whole shit,
reposition your whole body to get
right?
more view. Yeah, that's a different.
That's something that's gonna be like, okay, I understand that you're a man and something caught your eye, but you just totally have no respect for me if you're gonna turn your whole head. That's like the Facebook equivalent of that chick just turning her whole head to look
Yeah,
at that dude.
yeah, 100%. And made a comment when he walked by.
Right? Yeah,
Imagine being with your lady
and
and
she's
seeing a woman, and you turn around and you see the and you go, "Damn!" That's that's a life changing experience right there. Your life might not never be the same after that day.
yeah, because it's
Just
just it's not just that you did it, it's that you did it with me, and you did it that brazenly.
right.
You were that cavalier about it, like, you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
it helps. It helps to not like women when you're in a long term relationship. It kind of helps to I mean, because like we said, we like them at a distance. We love them at a distance. But the closer you get, the more you find out, the more personal it becomes. It's easier to be repulsed by women in general. And I am. Don't get me wrong. And it helps. It's good for my life. It's good for my life, bro. I mean, I'm not in too many situations where I'm in close proximity to women that I'm talking to, any other than there's strangers around. But I'm very rarely in situations where I'm around women I'm familiar with. We all hanging out talking. Like I don't really do
right,
that kind of shit. But in those when those situations do present themselves, if even if she gets too close to me while she's talking, I feel a repulsion, a physical like let me take a step back. This shit don't feel right. And that's I mean I'm sure that kind of energy has been helpful to my life because even if there was a woman around me who was green lighting me, she has to see my body language is not interested. You know what I'm saying? And that's just my natural alignment. It's not like, oh, my wife might be looking or somebody might see me. It's just my natural. I don't want nothing to get misconstrued here. You don't have to be this close to me. Stop giggling. It wasn't that funny. Like all that shit. I'm not with it. It just doesn't fall on me the same way. I think a lot of dudes, even when they're married, a lot of dudes still relish female attention. They love that attention from women. And a lot of times when you like it like that, I think it's natural to kind of pull at that thread and see how far you can get to the out of bounds line without actually doing something disrespectful to your wife. So if you're open to it and you still metabolizing this energy that comes from women, like, oh yeah, she's into me. How far does that go? When do you cut that off? Because
nah,
if you
it's
like it,
inevitable.
right,
Yeah,
you're gonna get a little closer, up into the point where in your mind you say, okay, I could smash if I want to. And if the best of men, they get to the point where they see the green light and the woman is completely like, yeah, you can have it. And that's when he's like, nah, I'm good now. Because I've done all the fusion. I see the green light. I know what that means. So I don't have to have it anymore. My fusion just takes place way earlier. Way early. I don't need nothing, no nothing. I already know because I know how most women in society won't even fucking give you the time of day if you're well. Let me rephrase that. They feel like they can't even give you the time of day if they're not interested because men misconstrue shit very easily. As a woman, you can't just be friendly with most guys
right.
because they're gonna sniff that out and be like, "Oh, word." So they have to, it's either you get 100% ice queen, cold hearted bitch, or she's letting you know that you're welcome in her bed.
Right,
That's how men process this shit. She's either evil or she wants to bang me. There's no in between.
right.
So I get why women kind of put themselves in those boxes because I can't even imagine what it's like being in the real world and saying hi to somebody like you in Walmart and you're like, hey, how you doing? And then he's just like, oh yeah, it starts following you and shit. Like, oh, you were talking to me back there, so I figured maybe you want to have some sex.
If dudes were that transparent about it, yeah,
It might help.
right.
It might
It's
help if
like,
they were.
hey, can I
But,
help you with anything? Oh, why? Yeah.
yeah, I
It's like,
got
no, no,
something you can help.
I work here. I'm just trying to help you. No, 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 no. That's not what I heard. It's not how I took it.
Hey, you woke up the monster now. You got to
I
deal with
got called gay like for at least 30 times over the next 60 days. When we were at that last show that y'all did,
Yeah.
I was sitting down with the dudes I had came with, and this chick came and sat down like almost like right on top of me. And I just my natural reaction. I thought about this when you said what you said. I just slid over like 2 feet on the bench. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know you, like you're too close. And yo, it was instant laughter, and I had to hear about it quite a few times after that. Like, yo,
Right.
that's the gayest shit I've ever seen. That's what I had to hear. Like,
Yeah.
dude, you are so gay. But I'm like, I've gotten that line of humorous attack, so it doesn't even phase me anymore. Like
Yeah.
I know I'm
I've
gay.
been
No
there.
worries.
I've been there 100% because most, like I said, the thirst is real. Most men don't understand what it means to refuse certain types of attention from women. The only time they understand it, ironically, is when it's a woman they're not attracted to.
Mm,
Then they completely understand it. I had a conversation with my cousin once, and I think he listens to the show. So shout out to you. You know who I'm talking about. He he has an entitlement when it comes to the type of women he thinks he should have access to. So he posts his, woman crush Wednesday picture or like the whole nine. And it's always, I shit you not, it could be the same woman every week and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It's
he
all
has a
different
type,
women. He has a type.
right?
And it's the type. It's that Kardashianesque, you know, uh,
Right.
floppy butterfly eyelashes with the big lipstick. And like, it's just a really, I don't want to sound disparaging here, but it's just a lot of effort goes into this look.
Right.
This is not a natural, just chill vibe woman. This is clearly somebody who puts a lot of time and energy into looking the way that they look and the way they present themselves. So he thinks those women should want him because they date assholes. I'm a nice guy and he treats you bad, but I'll treat you right. I'm better, all that kind of shit. But on the same token, the next day, he'll be complaining about some overweight chick who thinks he should be banging her. And he's looking at her like, who the fuck do you think I am? You think I'm going to have sex with you? And one time I just had to be like, bro, did you ever think that the women you're attracted to feel the way that you feel? They feel about you the way you feel about the women you're not attracted to? Like it had never occurred to him that they see him not as he sees himself, you know what I'm saying? Because he sees himself as the best option they could possibly have. But
Right.
they see something different, obviously.
Well,
But
they're not getting made up to attract somebody that's nice. They
right.
put that much work into themselves to attract somebody that's rich.
Mm,
It's when you're that into your like you're trying to be somebody's trophy wife. Like that's not and who knows what psychological shit has led up to that point. Cuz I think in their natural settings, I really think that's what women want. Is I just want somebody to be sweet to me and nice to me. And I think for the most part, we're kind of wired to want to do that thing naturally. And then the sexes fuck each other over enough that we all get jaded and we figure out, what works and what doesn't work and how to just get what we want out of a situation. And I think maybe though to girls like that, I don't think, a guy treating me right, I don't think that's at the top of the list. They could care less. They want to be able to command attention and then control the situation, and they know exactly what they're looking for. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
If
yeah.
if Kanye was just sweet, but he really did go broke, Kim would not be there. I think the only reason Kim is sticking around now is because he's a billionaire now. You
Right.
know,
Oh,
he had
yeah,
he
yeah.
that but it's not like, babe, we're together even if, we gotta downsize and we don't have access to this lifestyle anymore. She's like, no, I'm not coming to you with you to Wyoming. You know what I'm saying? If it was really like, yeah, we'll raise our kids together, we're a family, we'll be together. She's like, listen, I'll go to this weirdo cult shit for you for one video. One video, Kanye. We'll sit on some rocks, we'll walk around with the kids, and then we're going back to Calabasas. No. She's more I maybe I'm being too judgy, but I would think it's more about the lifestyle, and it's even what that look has come to represent.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, keeping up
Because
with the Kardashians, it's a cultural icon at this point that's influenced an entire generation of Instagram prostitutes.
yeah, and the guys seem to love it, and it's bizarre to me because these guys like the rappers and whoever else, these high value quote unquote men are positioning themselves with women that look like they're wearing full diapers, bro. I mean, and that's just the fact of how this person looks. This is not
Right.
me having a preference about what a woman's body dimensions are supposed to be. This is clearly a person who's had bad surgery. You got skinny ass legs, a big bulbous ass, and it don't even look like it belonged to you. It don't even look like it belongs on your body, but you're walking around with it. You got lip injections. You got floppy ass eyelashes that make my eyes water when I look at them because I feel like you got hair in your pupils and shit. But the dudes are happy to show these women off. Like I'm like, bro, it's like a psychosis at this point. It's a mental thing that's getting fed into society because I can't even look at these women, and when I look at them, I see psychopath. Like, you ever seen a homeless woman with makeup on? Like,
No,
you know how to,
I
like,
haven't,
you
I haven't
never
run into
seen a
that
homeless
just
woman with
yet.
makeup? Like,
No.
think this, like, okay, visualize it, yeah, right? California, homeless woman, half crazy. Picture how her lipstick would look. That's what I see when I see these women with all this shit all over their face. And like, you look like you have mental problems to me. I feel like you need an intervention. This is not, I don't see it as beauty or high fashion. Or, of course, there's a degree. It's not the same when you see a woman on the cover of a magazine. This is clearly like they've done a makeup job. But when you just slap shit on your face and go out to the club, your whole head is a different color than your neck and your hands. It's like, you didn't see that? You didn't look in the mirror and see my head and my neck is my head, my face is 2 shades lighter than my neck. And you don't think nobody else in the world is going to look at you and be like, that's kind of weird.
You
You
know
got
what?
this crazy fucking ass hanging off your back, and you think this makes you more desirable to the men around you, when I guess it does to a certain degree of dudes. Because if all you add is, if you do strip clubs and Instagram models and shit, and you feel like this is the new standard of what beauty is supposed to be, it bugs me out. I just don't see it. Maybe I'm getting old.
I think this is the dysfunction though in culture that's the inevitable end of like playing out consumerism and materialism to this degree. Like this culture is the byproduct of advertising. So, and advertising is, here's some shit you don't need, right? But I'm going to convince you that it's valuable. And so now people are searching for things like and calling it a relationship, but really it's not even about the quality or connection of the two people. It's like, look what I've got. Like I've got, this really desirable product, the Kardashian that's out there. Yeah, I got me one of those. Look, I got. Well, do you
Right,
guys
right, right.
even get along, or do you have any kind of connection? No, no, no. I'm not really concerned about that. Like I walk around with her, and y'all see that I have her, right? And we fuck every now and again, and she spends a lot of my money, and I'm in a relationship. So it's not about a connection or finding happiness or growing together, and it's just really like, I don't know. I think it's the byproduct of a culture that's obsessed with the vanity of materialism, and now that's how it's applied to a relationship. So
Yeah.
like I got the high end Kardashian. She comes with the full diaper ass, got 6-inch eyelashes, like just like how we talk about a car, like eight
That
cylinder,
model, that's
full
the
Hemi,
model.
right?
They got that Kardashian model, son.
Showroom, right
Bro,
off
yeah,
the
I've seen
showroom floor.
pictures. I've seen
Yeah.
pictures of this woman because of course, I would never fucking destroy my mind by watching that show. And that's not to say that everybody who watches the show's mind is destroyed. I'm just saying that my mind would be irreparably damaged if I watched that shit. So I don't watch it. But I've seen pictures of this woman just walking around in public. And I'm like, is it me, or does this look like bad clay? This looks like somebody molded this shit wrong. I don't understand how I guess it's the money, but you walking around, you look like a fucking balloon animal, and
Dude,
everybody's just pretending that it's all good.
when I saw, not to disparage his wife, it was obviously it's a lovely scene of him and his wife and his kids, but it is hard like not to think of it like in to be some cartoonish thing. Like when they're walking down the rocks, I forget the name of the video. I know you saw it where they got like, all the little vehicles, they're out in the middle of nowhere. You know the Kanye video
Uh,
I'm talking about?
I don't think I saw it.
Okay, well, it's one of the videos where it's him, like it starts off with him and his wife and his kids like up on some rocks and they start walking down and they're walking together. And like as you see her walking, like it does just look, it looks cartoonish. It's ridiculous.
Is it
It's
closed on Sunday? Is that what it is?
it might be closed on Sunday, yeah.
Wow,
I,
dude.
I could be wrong. She's just in some sweatpants, like she's in some regular
Okay.
clothes. She's not like all glamored up or anything,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
what it is. Yeah, closed on Sunday. I'm
But
looking at it now.
but it just it looks like cartoonishly silly, you know. And I don't know. I don't know how she is as a person, but I think like the shit that Kanye's on that that fucks with him. I think he's a person as off the wall as he can be. I think he's sincere in being motivated by things that are meaningful. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like as much as he'll indulge, and obviously he's indulged in a lot of the dumb shit that comes, the trappings of wealth or whatever. Um, but I think, for him to say certain shit and do certain shit, like when he was talking about when he was doing his fake presidential candidate, presidential run, talking about, how his, father wanted to get him aborted and he got emotional. Like I think that's real to him. I think that's sincere. I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah,
he
yeah.
gains anything. You know what I mean? And to be calculated that way, like I'll go and I'll, as a grown ass man, I'll cry in front of all these people, and this will help me in my career. Like he's got $1 billion.
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't have to
Yeah,
do
I don't
anything.
think nothing it
Yeah,
doesn't really say much about. I'm not even talking about her character or what she represents, anything like that. I'm just talking about the physical appearance that is driving a whole generation of women to want to mimic it, and
right.
also at the same time it's driving men to accept it as a new
And to
beauty
want it,
standard. And to
right?
me, I don't even understand how you can. I feel like you're going against human evolution at this point. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if that's what you set your sights on as a as a potential partner, like this is your ideal body type, how do you even facilitate that in a world that doesn't have, plastic surgery and silicone? Like you can't even find this
In
in a
nature,
natural, right? You can't even find it in nature.
not
How could this
found in
be?
nature,
It
right?
doesn't make sense for to just turn on your attraction. That's what I'm trying to get
Right.
to. How does your attraction get sparked by
But but
this
but
clearly
right,
funhouse mirror
right.
version of a woman?
But what I mean too is like if you're talking about a relationship as being, yeah, sex is a part of it, but it's also being connected with a person and making plans with them and and navigating the hardships of life together. There's all these other components that are a part of it than just the person's physical appearance, right? And what I'm saying is that obsession for that kind of like that I think that the whole vibe of what the Kardashians have come to represent and the standards of beauty that they've kind of ushered in, it flies in the face of everything deep and meaningful. Like it's the antithesis of Kanye crying at a fucking thing, getting emotional, talking about some real shit that's an important thing to him,
Right.
and
Yeah.
an important thing he sees in society. Like I think that model of beauty and everything it represents, it's not remotely interested in anything that authentic
Right.
or
It
that
can't be. How
emotionally
could it be?
vulnerable. Right.
How could it be? She represents, like you said, antithesis of not only what he claims to care about, but everything that made him who he is up until now. His
Yeah.
whole presence in music was because he stood in opposition to the flashy, shiny shit. He was the backpacker, back to basics,
Right.
grunt. His whole everything that led him to become a celebrity was based on the opposite of the person that he chose to be his wife and have his children. So I don't
Right.
even. I feel like that's almost like some Illuminati shit. It's like if you want in, you're gonna have to marry the one thing that is counterintuitive to everything that you claim to stand for. That's how we'll know you really want in to the fucking inner circle. Because it wouldn't make sense that if he would have married fucking India Ari, that would have made perfect sense. Oh
Mm.
yeah, fucking Kanye West married India Ari. That's awesome. Or fucking Erica Badu, or any one of a
Or
bunch
Jill
of other
Scott.
Jill Scott, any one of a bunch of other freaking female celebrities. But I don't know, bro. I don't understand it for the life of me. Now, if there's a guy out there somewhere who has a face just like hers. That would make sense for them to get mad because there's a dude somewhere. He's got botulism in his face. You know, he's been under the knife 17 times. He's got hair plugs, but he's a billionaire. I could see him marrying her because they look exactly alike. And they got the same struggle. They probably have the
Same
same
values.
doctor, same
Right.
values. Like that would make sense to me. I wouldn't be questioning why they find each other attractive. But it's like this thing here is kind of weird to me. I feel like it brought that consciousness down, and I don't mean down as in a lower level, but it pulled it into the existence of this other culture. I don't know if she
Mm.
would have been as popular to hip hop culture and American black culture as she is if she wasn't attached to Kanye West like that. Because he treated her like a wife. The way Ray J treated her like he was supposed to treat her, as far as hip hop is concerned. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Not saying that's the way she's supposed to be treated in life, like,
Right. Right.
but
No, I get what you're saying.
as far as hip hop is concerned, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He had sex with her and filmed it and then put the film out. Like, fuck her. Who cares? I'm making money.
Right.
You marry her and have children with her. It's like that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. But I mean, it's not my business, and I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. But the fact that it trickled down so much into the consciousness of regular people is kind of scary. I don't know how within 5 years or whatever it is, in 5 years, men go from, okay, let's say 10 years. We go from Melissa Ford being like the epitome of hood, urban sexuality, beauty, all of that to Kim Kardashian. That's a
Mm.
huge shift in consciousness. Think about the women who was in, think about
Megan Good
Superhead,
was pretty
bro.
bad too.
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, everybody. There's certain women that people just considered these iconic beauty.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it was in the rap videos, and everybody would, the whole crowd would scream and applaud when they did a walk
Vita
in on
Guerrera
a
had her
TV show.
moment too for a
Right?
while.
She had a moment, but I think she was leading into,
The the
she's
big the big
right,
at cartoon ass.
right.
She was
She was
phase
a middle
one.
ground. Yeah, that was the what they call it, the prototype. She was the prototype for what they was about to do with the next paradigm. It's like if they'll accept you, let's see how far we can push this narrative. With the fact that Superhead was famous, like okay, so we can have a porn star basically who's had sex with 400 rappers and basketball players. We can put her in a room to where she can sit down and demand to be respected and treated the same as some intellectual who wrote a book. She's like, well, I wrote a book too, so you got to respect me. It's like, yeah, but your book is a little different. So I'm saying, like, this is so to bring her to the table and then start blowing out the features of these women and making their lips bigger. And oh, there was one. Oh, all she did was bang rappers and get beat up. That's all she did her whole, career at being famous. What's her name, bro? She was a video
Yeah.
girl. She had the craziest face, botulism lips. Well, let me stop calling it botulism. It's Botox, to be fair. But Botox does stand for botuline toxin.
Right, right,
So
right.
they're literally
No, and I knew
putting
what you meant. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
botulism in your face, bro. How it's it's bacteria that causes swelling, and it's cleverly injected into places. That's how far are you willing to go to be
it's
cute?
it's insane. The girl that you're talking about, is she the one that was with Cool G Rap for a while?
Coogee rap. I don't know. No, Cat Stacks.
Okay.
Cat Stacks was her name. And I remember her being like back when World Star first started being big. she would like take pictures with rappers after she banged them to sleep, and she'd be in the bed next to them with cocaine on the nightstand, and she'd just take pictures and fucking expose you and shit.
Oh
And then she
wow.
started getting beat up like once a month by rap. They have videos of her getting slapped up in the street and shit, and like that was just her life until she disappeared. I don't even know what happened to her. But
Jeez.
she was one of the first people I remember looking like a balloon animal. For real, for real. She had the worst
But she
surgeries,
wasn't like a video vixen. She was like a groupie that
like
got
a groupie.
famous.
Yeah, 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 groupie.
Okay, okay.
Fuck, who was Cool G Rap's girl? I don't even know. But I feel like I heard stories about it because didn't he abuse her too? I remember somebody
Yeah,
on
that. Yeah, go ahead.
World Star talking about being abused by Cool G Rap. That's the only reason I remember.
Yeah, there was a couple girls. It's hard to keep up with them. I know Superhead was like with everybody. A friend of mine, she read the book and was like, "Yeah," she said,
Oh,
Ghost was the baddest." I was like, "Yeah, I could see that. I could see that."
was the baddest like the worst abuser?
No, no, no. Like dicked her down the most properly.
Oh, okay,
Like
okay.
I think she shitted on Puff. She was like making fun of everybody's fuck game, but she was like, yo, but she gave Ghostface like the the stellar
Aggressive Greg.
review. Right,
Aggressive
aggressive
Greg got the
Greg.
swipe game.
You know what I'm
Got
saying?
the swipe game. That's
Go with
Corinne
that stick
Steffens. Yeah,
game.
that's Cool G Rap's baby mom. That's
Okay,
her.
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that it was her. Yeah, giving interviews about how he beat her up and shit. I don't even I don't even doubt it, bro. I could see Cool G Rap beating up his baby mama.
But that's crazy that you make your way like it's and I made her a different, I put her in a different category, but it's not. She's basically a groupie too. I mean, you know,
The
I
smart
I
one,
I mean, yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, if you got a book deal out of it, you're famous. Um, didn't Nas's first baby's mom write a book or something too?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Was that the one that Jay-Z was talking about?
I think so.
Left condoms on your baby seat kind of shit.
Yeah,
You don't get a nigga back like that.
that's super fucked up.
Bro, this shit is so hilarious. It's so funny. The dysfunction that's on display
Yeah.
in the world. It's like then you just go past it. You just get over it.
But
Gosh, what a world.
just to put my Professor Griffey hat on for just a moment, um, if there was a global Luciferian plot, um, you got to admit at how effective it is to put cultural icons in front of people and watch the world become shaped in their image, and the ability for social media to do it in a way that television was already expanding on but could never do it at this level. You kind of got to give it to them. Like, it's not just in consensus of opinion about what we should do with the world. Like, it's what should we value on every level, to the point of what should we look like. Even if we got to go to these crazy extremes to look like that, you were able to put a standard on it. So I would say how ubiquitous that look has become. There's a direct correlation with how many followers she has. Don't she got
Right.
something stupid like 70 or 80 million followers?
Probably.
Like, it's some crazy number. And this isn't, my brother brought up a good point. He just, when he just runs his mouth and says some ridiculously brilliant shit without even trying. Like, there was some the Masked Singer or some shit was playing on in the background. We all got together for Thanksgiving. And he's like, why the fuck don't we ever have this shit for scientists? Like, like, there's all these cooking
Wow.
shows. There's all these who can sing and all this shit. It's like, how about a whole bunch of people coming up like, yo, this is what we're working on. Shark Tank, we're all going to get and pitch some idea about some stupid fucking trinket that makes a little bit more convenient. But there's not like, hey, this is how I'm going to cure AIDS or how I'm going to cure cancer. This is the research I'm working on. I'm looking to secure a grant or financing for blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. He's like, that show has zero interest. I'm like, you know what? This is the cultural sickness on display. And we get what we want. That's what we're interested in. So that's what we get. And then he followed it up when we were playing Jeopardy. I got Jeopardy on the Switch. I brought the Switch over. We're all playing Jeopardy. And he's like, what if there was some shit called anal jeopardy. It's like, listen, he's like, what? He's like, hold on. He's like, it's like set up like you're in a prison, and instead of
Oh
losing
God.
money when you get the answer wrong, there's some big dude behind you that just takes one step closer, and then he starts
Oh
like sniffing your hair. Like,
God.
and by the end of it, I'm like, so you basically just trivialized prison rape and by making it like a show like Jeopardy. Okay,
But yeah,
I
see,
could see the
I'm
humor in that.
I'm mad because it's just as disgusting as it is brilliant.
It's horrific. You just
That's why I'm upset with myself right now, ultimately, for seeing the potential in it. You
right.
know what I mean?
Just somebody behind you stroking your hair and smelling you,
Oh
like, yeah, you better
man,
get this one right.
that is so many levels to why that's horrible.
But either way, you leave with all your money. You might be bleeding from the asshole, but you don't lose any money. It's like a game of horse, but with rape. Anal
God,
rape at
dude.
the end of it.
The only way that this could be viable is if it can't be a full on rape. It can't be. It can't be a full on stroke down. I think once you get penetrated, you lose. So you, you can't just bang this guy because he got some questions wrong. He gets closer, 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 but once he's balls deep, game over. You got to go home.
Oh,
Of course, that might be a little insensitive to the actual convict, but I'm sure there's some fluffers backstage or something like that that can take care of him. But
right.
I don't think you could just let this person get pounded out because they we can't do that.
I, I love because I was thinking of it more in terms of like a funny skit. Like if
Oh,
like they're in prison and they do Jeopardy, but that's how
in
they set up
prison.
Jeopardy. But I like how you indulged it as an actual game show. It's
Yeah,
like
I'm thinking about.
on
I'm,
CBS. Like,
yeah,
how
yeah,
can we viably make this an enterprise?
yeah. I'm thinking
To
about syndication.
Right. How can we really get this off the ground? Now, there can't be full on penetration, but maybe he
Oh,
just maybe
not repeated.
right.
It
You
could be,
just right. The
just
helmet
one
goes through the first layer of butt cheeks, and then that's it. That's the
game
end.
over.
That's the end of
Game
the
over.
game.
Yeah, you
Right.
lost. Unless you want to play
But
double
it
jeopardy,
can't just be like while you're writing out the answer to Final Jeopardy, there's just some dude behind you banging and
just
grunting
slamming.
because you've already lost.
But there is a chance for double jeopardy. You can win it all back.
Right.
You can win it all back, but then he gets to finish. So it's up to you. I mean, how bad do you want to play the rest of this game?
Yeah,
That is that
but
is so immoral and terrible
it's
and
terrible.
disgusting.
But you
But
just that's why I
yeah,
love that dude. You just talk to him for a couple of minutes and he'll just spew some ridiculous shit out. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense though. That's actually a great idea.
anal jeopardy.
Anal Jeopardy and America's Next Top Scientist.
Yeah, America's Next Top Scientist is getting no funding. No funding, bro. Then
No
nobody
viewers,
cares.
nobody's voting in. You'd have to like solicit people. You'd have to like spam everybody's cell phone. Like, please vote.
No,
Please vote for this text.
nobody
Or,
cares, bro. I can't even imagine what a subject would be that would get people to tune in on some science shit. Unless we take
for
it to like
safer ass injections. He's
that
he's
might work.
he's improving the safety and the look of ass injections. I guarantee people would tune in for that.
Bro, I just looked at Kim Kardashian's Instagram. She has 193 million followers.
Look
And,
at me not knowing what the fuck I'm talking about.
and one of her most recent pictures looks like a literal adult diaper. I can't understand. How is she not the how is she not the focus of either massive constant ridicule or just obscurity because nobody cares? I can't put it together in my mind. There are people working on shit right now. They're blogging and podcasting. They're doing all kind of shit, and people are coming to their pages telling them they're ugly. They should quit. You should go kill yourself because your music sucks. But this fucking person has 193 million followers looking like this.
193 million.
That's
It's
amazing to
amazing.
me. This is our world. This is our world. And she's seen as one of the icons of beauty today.
Yeah,
And
it's
fashion,
true.
I can understand. Maybe she wears some cool shit. Like I get the fashion part, but the beauty standard, I'll never get it. When we understand how much work has to go into being, especially if you look at all the old pictures of their whole family, bro. Holy shit! You ever seen? As I seen a meme that said, "Remember, you're not ugly. You're just broke," and it was just a picture of all the Kardashians before they had all their surgery and shit.
Yeah,
It
it's
fucking crazy.
the younger one now that's coming up. She became a billionaire from a makeup deal right out of the gate,
Right.
and you saw her before, and then she went. It's like the like Hitler's super soldiers. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get you with we're gonna send you off. We're gonna put you under the knife. We're gonna and like you're gonna be able to be like a super hoe. Like we'll put you out into the public and like you're a supercharged, ready to go.
It's
It's
unbelievable, bro.
they're being augmented with science for
And
like
we know.
frivolous ways.
And we know. We can see what they look like before, but you choose to.
Yeah,
And not only do they uh, use surgery and all these other means to turn themselves into these new people, they then occupy the headspace and the attitudes of people who actually look like that. You don't even actually look like that, but you got an attitude. How?
right.
Yo, there's girls who went through their high school and their college and shit in a state of near depression because they look like Courtney or whatever her name is, Kardashian, before her surgery.
Right.
And they were depressed about it. She flipped her whole shit and became a billionaire because she sliced some of her face up.
Ah.
And we were like, okay, cool, we can do that. Now we'll worship you.
There was a dude in China that divorced his wife or like
Yep.
sued her or some shit,
Yeah. Successfully.
which
Yeah.
it's not really what you look like, and our
Right.
children are ugly now.
Right. Because of you. I
Right.
kind of I'm on his side with that one though. If she was just a trophy arm candy wife, then whatever, it don't really matter because this is who you wake up to every day.
Right.
But when you have children, now you've betrayed. The truth has to come
Betrayed the
out now.
gene pool. Yeah.
Right, right. You fucked up. So he, and with the way shit is in China with lineage and offspring and shit, like bro, I can't afford to be wasting childbirths with with an ugly woman, bro. What are you doing? You can't do that. But hey, this is what we have. This is our world. This is our world that we live in. And the only thing that we can do to combat, not even to combat that shit. The only thing we can do here is kind of mind our business and don't feed into the psychosis of
Oh
giving
yeah.
those people anything. All they deserve is human decency. They deserve human decency. I don't care what kind of eyelashes you have on. When I see you, I'm gonna think in my head that you're crazy. I'm not gonna treat you like a
No
crazy.
need to bring it up though.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say a
It's
word.
impolite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I would never call you names in the street. I would never say, "Look at this goofy looking bitch." I'm gonna think it. I'm gonna think it, but I won't say it. I promise I won't say it. But it's pretty amazing to me that you can function in the world looking like that and people not, because it does kind of make me feel like you have a mental issue because you can't see what we all are processing when we look at you. You can't see that. If you walked into Walmart and a woman had lipstick around her nose and chin and shit, she just drew a big circle around the tip of her nose and her chin for her lipstick and mascara smeared all over her face, and she was just walking around like it was normal. I wouldn't think that that was just her makeup choice for the day. I would think something was wrong with her. I would think her handler lost track of her. Like,
I don't I'm not on it at all because I think this thing is all poison. But I'll be brought into awareness of certain things that get posted just from all the YouTubes and stuff I watch. But there was this somebody posted something, I think it was like on their Instagram or their Twitter, where it was like pictures of all these girls before and after college, and is hilarious. It's like cute, pretty girls, then they go to college and they get
oh, the blue hair.
indoctrinated with feminism, right?
Yeah,
And nose
yeah,
rings or bald heads, like
yeah.
tattoos, and it's just like wow, like you were really a pretty girl before this. Like, what are you doing? So I don't know. I don't know.
Pretty
All
lady.
Pretty lady. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. So I don't know what the standard of beauty is at this point, because it all just seems crazy. I don't know what women are doing right now.
I don't think there is a standard of beauty, honestly. I mean, if you want to talk professional,
Culture's created.
yeah,
Every culture is gonna have the features that they say are the most desirable or the most attractive. I don't know necessarily everybody has to buy into it.
yeah, and it doesn't hold up under real scrutiny because women who don't fit into the quote unquote traditional beauty standards still don't have problems getting access to sex or men.
Right,
They have problems getting access to the sex from the men they think they deserve.
right,
That's what it comes down to. So if you're overweight, whatever, it got that kind of shit going on, you may not be able to get some guy who has $100 million in the bank and drives a Ferrari. You may not be able to get him because he has more options. So that's when they attack the beauty standard. But there's 50 other guys that still want to bang you, but you can
and not only
completely ignore
that,
them. She
even
don't want to
even
hear shit from them.
overweight girls. I got a buddy that swears by them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's like, dude, they get way more wet. They
Oh
make
god,
way more of an effort. Like he gets detailed.
that's yeah, that's
he's
a lot. That's a
he's,
lot.
but
That's a
he
lot.
swears by him. He swears by him. It's his bread and butter.
Are they just sweating or
No, he's I my theory is, and I've only in my whole career, I think I've only been with two girls that were like bigger. They weren't like I couldn't take credit like they were big girls, big girls. They weren't, they were bigger. And yeah, it was it was way different. And that maybe they're just more turned on or they're not getting it as much. I don't know. I don't know
that's
what it
got to be
is.
a factor. If they're
But
getting
what
turned down or if they feel less than worthy and you give them some attention, I feel like
yeah,
most people in that situation would put in more effort. Versus I've heard men and women say the same thing about people that they were really attracted to, or like with men, it's women who they think are really super beautiful and you thought she was out of your league, but she let you smash. And then with women, it's men who are powerful, rich, got a bunch of money,
right,
highly desirable, and both sides say the same thing. They don't put in no work
right.
because they think you should just be happy to be in the game. You should do all the work.
Right.
The rich guys like, you want me to do what? I can go to the club right now and find four girls to come back here and do some coke and serve
Right.
me all night.
And then
Why would I do any of that shit?
this is pure speculation on the big girls viscosity, but I haven't been on America's Next Top Scientist to secure the funding yet.
Oh,
If there were trials and we actually dug into the data, I suspect that those are what the scientific results would yield, is that they're just they're more grateful and their body is responding to it. So
right.
they're just super turned on.
That makes
And
sense.
I don't know.
It makes a lot of sense to me. I feel like because I can say honestly, the best encounters I've ever had in my life were with the person who I feel like loved me the most.
Mm,
That's my honest assessment of all the experiences I've had in my life. There's not one thing that stands out in my mind like, oh, that fucking one night stand with that one chick was amazing. That shit's never fucking happened in my life. All of the best experiences came from the person that I think loved me the most. And that's what I equate it to. It's not skills. And I don't believe in the concept of, good pussy, so to speak. I don't really believe in that. I think that's ridiculous. Like, I don't think you could tell the difference. If you blindfolded yourself, this might be another good game show.
double blind placebo.
Right.
Right.
You blindfold yourself and you get three strokes in four different women. Do you really think you're going to be able to be like, nah, I think the third one was the best? There's no fucking way, B. There's no way. There's no way. I could say that maybe a person who've been railed out for 10 hours might not have the same kind of grip as the person who hasn't. So I could see where that would be like, yo, this one's a little roomy. Let me try the next one.
Yeah,
It's a little, I could get that.
yeah.
But you're talking about four different women, four different races, all it's the same way, different way, all of that. I don't think you could tell the difference. I really don't. I don't think there is a discernible difference that you can tell from being inside of it. I just don't think so. And I know there's a bunch of people who would argue you to the death and be like, no,
Well,
some women just got better.
Now, I think women just like to think that.
Oh yeah.
And you can do Kegels or whatever. You can get some of the traction back.
Traction. That's all it's about. That's it.
And but really, so they want to believe in the myth of good pussy. But I'm with you. I think for the most part, that there's little distinctions, but I don't think it's nothing that it's big enough to matter. And I think what it is it's just you can be under the delusion if you're in the grips of, you know, your testosterone's in the 800s, you're a young man, you know what I mean? You can easily be blinded by it. I think you could buy into that myth. Oh, this is some good
mentally.
pussy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially if she made you wait.
Yeah, but once you put up some numbers and you've gotten older and your testosterone's dropped down to like 300, you know, your sanity's there, your mind is there, you have a little bit more clarity, and like, yeah, it's pretty much all the same. Right. It's really just in my mind how turned on I am at the moment that's making me think it's different one way or the other.
And how the whole situation presented itself. Because in real life, you can have a woman give you access to her body, not reluctantly, like she didn't really want to, but she's just not excited about it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's right. A reality in life. She's just like, yeah, I guess you can smash whatever, and it's just a meaningless hump, right. And then it's over, right? Versus a woman who tells you she's been thinking about you all day and she's super enthusiastic. The same woman under different circumstances can give you a completely different experience.
Right.
It's the same woman. Ain't nothing changed except her enthusiasm and her body responding to said enthusiasm. And then you processing how much she's into it and that making you more aroused. And like, it's all about the connect. As far as I'm concerned, it's all about the connection, the dynamic between the two people. But I don't think there's just no, oh, this one's just better than that one. I fucking completely reject that idea.
No, it's and that has to do with how comfortable the woman is.
Yeah,
because when a woman is more comfortable, it's gonna be much better. Yeah. And the reason why I think dudes get in their mind, you know, that crazy girls or damaged girls are just better, is because they're just gonna feel more comfortable in the situation regardless.
Yeah, she's been banged 100 times.
Right.
It's not her first rodeo, son.
Right. So you begin to associate that with, oh, them crazy girls. They're just the shit. But you could get a shy girl to that point once she's comfortable.
Yeah. That's different. So that's different. That's way different. But I've been with a crazy chick before. I've been with a big girl before. You know what I'm saying? All of that shit, bro.
Would you testify to the viscosity theory at this point or no?
That's such a fucking hilarious word to apply to this. That's fucking.
Let's keep it scientific.
Right. I would say no. I can't. I can't. And okay. Of course, this was 4 years ago, so a crazy long time ago. So I can't even say that I honestly. Yeah. Right. I can't even say that I honestly remember because that's just been buried so deep in my psyche. Like I have no. I can barely I feel like at this point, all sexual experiences outside my wife, they just all bleed together. They blend. I can't even know. I can't even really say this time was with that person or on this one time at the docks with this girl. Like I don't know who was where, what was. I can't remember that shit, bro.
It's all bled together.
Yeah. It's all
it just
one.
Seems like one exhausting.
It's my wife and not my wife. Those are the two folders that I have in my brain for sexual experiences. My wife and not my wife. And fortunately, I'm happy that like I said, everything that echoes in my brain is with my wife. All of it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how much of that is because it's her and how much of it is because it really was that much more intense than all the other experiences. But at this point, it doesn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I've rejected that concept for a long time, dude. I mean, it is what it is. People are going to have fun with each other when they want to. And there's a woman out here right now telling her friends about how trash some dude's pipe was. and there's another woman laying in her bed shaking and sweating right now from that same dude.
Right.
It's just the facts. It's the same way vice versa. There's a guy complaining like, oh, that wasn't shit. And there's another dude who's absolutely fucking in love because of that shit.
He's buying flowers right now.
Right now, he's sliding home on one knee with a fucking sliding.
I wrote
home
you
on
a poem. I'm gonna cry in front of you. I want you to know that I care. Pussy was good.
We got to talk to that guy. Tell him stop doing sucker shit. We got to get that guy on the show so we can fix him. Oh, dude, yeah. So I'm telling you, bro. Next week, I'm just gonna let you know right up front. I'm gonna be expecting a sucker shit story.
I'll go through. I'll go through the catalog and try to pick one out through the emotional trauma. I was trying to when you first brought it up, and I was like, I don't know. There's so many I know, and I'm not thinking of any good ones. I don't, out the top of my head, I couldn't come up with one that was as good as my grandmother brought me to a celebrity and made me give her a teddy bear and flowers.
Yeah, we had to start at the top. Let's just start at the top and work our way down.
Right. All the ones that came to my mind immediately just really paled in comparison. It wasn't even worth it.
So now everybody knows why my chivalry died and why I'm generally repulsed by women who are not my wife.
Rudy
it's all her fault.
Killed it.
It's all her.
The moment you were being vulnerable and letting to see if could this thing chivalry, could it flourish in my life? Step aside, and it was dead.
Keep it moving, son.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving, 12-year-old. Fuck out of here.
I'll leave my chivalry right here and be on my way. Good day, sir. Good day to you, sir.
I recovered, man. I recovered well because I think in life there's a guy somewhere messaging her on Instagram like, I gave you a teddy bear and some flowers back in 1997 when you came to the mall. It was probably earlier than that, 94 when you came to the mall. So I think I recovered well considering.
No, and again, just the goodwill hunting you just a little bit. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. That whole situation. That's not something you can take credit for.
Yeah.
That shouldn't make you cringe. You trusted your grandmother. She sent you on a fool's errand to try to get the family to rebound from the Gladys Knight loss. Right. And it was all put on your shoulders.
Oh shit! My uncle dropped the ball with Gladys Knight. I blew it with Rudy. And we're fucked. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
You're just gonna somebody's gonna have to become a celebrity. The marrying into celebrity is it's not working out. Yeah, it's not working out for the lineage at this point. But that's okay.
My lineage letting me know I'm supposed to be the star, not married to a star. Like we're supposed to become stars.
Right. You make Kardashians. You're not the Kardashian. That's your.
There we go. There we go. We make the Kardashians. We don't marry them. We make them.
It's got to be your mindset.
For good, forever. I'm gonna build a hashtag from that. I'm gonna make a hashtag. We make Kardashians. See how long it takes to get a cease and desist.
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Quick.
Yeah, pray for Kanye, and I'll have my sucker story ready to go.
Absolutely. Well, great talking to you, man. I definitely appreciate you making the time to do this all the time, bro. We up 40-something episodes right now, which is absolutely amazing, considering how long it took to actually pull the trigger and get it started, and all the things that led up to it. It's amazing that we are where we are. I definitely appreciate you making the time, man.
Nah, you as well, man. Crimmy.com.
It's coming.
Crimmy.com.
Definitely. Enjoy the rest of the night, brother.
You too, man. Peace.
Peace.